It is December 12th, Saturday, 2020. It's currently 10:18 a.m. And as I have already documented, this is with regard to P.O.C. That is continuous, it is ceaseless. The state does not engage in stopping or pausing group stalking and monitoring conduct. The state's singular focus is Erica Lorraine Spencer, especially becoming aware of being documented by the state. The state's constant concern is the illegal criminal detention of the targeted individual who becomes aware of being monitored. Again, because for the time frame of your life when you're not aware of it, you are not a threat. You become a direct threat to the state, to that public entity, once you become aware of it. And this is indicated by your documentation, which is exactly what I started to do when the state engaged in increased aggression with regard to stalking conduct by the police, and in adding to that stalking conduct by airplanes, by helicopters, by third-party group stalkers blatantly engaged in open stalking conduct that was previously concealed. It was inconspicuous. It was not so obvious. But the more of a threat you become, the more blatant the stalking conduct becomes, the more intense the harassment and acts of criminal obstruction. You're talking about the kidnapping, you're talking about criminal defamation, you're talking about criminal summoning of the police while you're engaged in lawful conduct, such as documenting the state engaged in criminal conduct of monitoring you with communication devices. What I want to speak to right now, it's 10:20 a.m. and overnight the pattern of conduct continues. I am at the Ontario Museum of History and Art, and let's be clear, when I'm speaking of the pattern of conduct, I have already stated the relevant context that it is entirely satanic. It is a state system. And so understand the implications of that. I am sitting at the museum. I am documenting on my phone right now every single, the state and all of these third-party group stalkers, they are all listening to me together at once. While they're driving down the street, while they're sitting in their cars in relevant position, creating light activity, group stalking, okay? While they're in the buildings around, sitting in their cars behind, while this third-party group stalker directly across, who I took a picture of, this is the group stalker who physically attacked me in I want to say June of 2020, which I documented on the Wells Fargo bank ATM cameras, the security cameras at the ATM, and also at Ontario Town Square. He is across from me right now. He's listening to me. This is all that the state is engaged in. It is entirely a demonic system, and it is that which is intended to be concealed. Upon becoming aware of it, the state's singular focus is silencing that targeted individual. And there is nothing that they are doing that does not include the pattern of conduct. Understand the P.O.C. is constant. They are literally demons engaging in outwardly appearing as though they are doing something else when all they are doing is monitoring. That is all they are doing. That is all the state is consumed with. Okay? So let's be clear on that. I just want to specify what's going on. Not only is it criminal monitoring, these are literally demons who are engaging in P.O.C., outwardly appearing as they are normal. Right? You look outside, all you see is traffic. See cars parked around, you see people walking on the sidewalk, you see Omnitrans sitting at the bus stop across the street, and it looks on its exterior absolutely normal, and it is absolutely not normal. This is demonic activity, understand? And they are all together at once, acting as one single group, targeting, monitoring with communication devices, surrounding with activity, surrounding with light, monitoring with the state, okay? And this is also what occurred overnight. I want to note a rough estimate of over 10 to 11 times, and this is on the traffic cameras. I'm at the Ontario Museum of History Art at Euclid and Holt. It's immediately Euclid in transit, but the next major street is Holt Boulevard, where the state literally engaging in loitering around the museum, sounding sirens. Okay, and it's the variation of either driving past and sounding their sirens, north and south on Euclid, east and west on Holt, and or engaging in a partnership where one emergency vehicle, the state drives past with all of the lights on the vehicle. For example, the fire truck that was driving west on Holt Boulevard, it was lit up like a Christmas tree while there are sirens sounding very close to where I am physically. So it's targeted audible activity while the state is driving past, crossing path, that's relevant positioning, with light. Monitoring in concert with every other group stalker, this group stalker that's here at the museum directly across from me, in addition to every other one that's hiding around somewhere inconspicuously and driving in traffic. The state that engages in stalking conduct, hiding in parking garages, hiding in dark parking lots, hiding behind buildings, and inconspicuously driving past, crossing path in traffic. They are engaged in group stalking. And the traffic cameras, again, not enabled with audio. So the state is, like I demonstrated inside of West Valley Jail, the deputies exploiting the fact that the cameras do not have audio. So I'm literally explaining to you the fact that what you see visibly is married to the audible activity. That's exactly what I was pointing out inside of West Valley Jail. What you are looking at is married to what the audible activity consists of, and I am letting you know the state engaged in ongoing psychopath. This is a psychopath. Understand this. This is a psychopath. Literally sitting around in relevant position, stalking, that's what that is, stalking, listening to me, and sounding sirens. And I don't mean, sounding them with longevity and also just sounding them, stopping, just creating audible activity while they're just sitting around stalking. That's a psychopath, okay? And I am speaking in singular because it is the same psychopath operating over a group of people at once. This is demonic. Okay? And this is how you have identical behavioral patterns. What I took a picture of was across the street on Hope Boulevard, and what you'll see is a black SUV sitting on the side of the street, and my purpose was to capture the bus stop that's a little bit behind that black SUV. That black SUV is sitting in front of Beverly Boutique, which is closed. It is a boutique that is not in operation. They're literally loitering in relevant position to me, monitoring, and that's the pattern of conduct. I just want to be clear on that. I captured that in an image. They were monitoring with Omnitrans, who was sitting at their bus stop. That's Route 86, 87 that runs south on Euclid. The state amplifies the sound of their speaker from that distance over there at the corner of Hull all the way over here, sounding like the bus is literally right here in front of me on the museum grounds. And that's amplification, audible activity, while Omnitrans creates light activity on the bus, while third-party group stalkers patrol, creating audible activity, while the state is constantly patrolling by airplane and helicopter. Okay, while you've got a third-party group stalker right here in close proximity across on the other side of the museum. It's P.O.C. And just to speak to that black SUV was loitering in relevant position, and that's what I captured in a picture. It's group stalking. That's what they're doing, listening to every word that I'm saying. Okay, but let's go back to what P.O.C. was. You have them engaging in this, which is over the span of the entire night, repeatedly sounding their sirens and doing the same psychopath conduct repeatedly over and over again. Just like a demon does, engaging in literally saying what I say they do, you have another one that parks in the same place doing the exact same thing. Where the black SUV was, it's immediately replaced by another group stalker who parks in the same position. The Beverly Boutique or Beverly Bouquet or Boutique, whatever it's called, at the corner is closed down. And so they park there, create light activity, and it's not a coincidence. This is a pattern. Everything that I speak out loud, these demons that are listening to me, they literally engage in repeating it in real time as I speak it out loud. It is the conduct of a psychopath stalker, and this psychopath stalker is that invisible influence that I am letting you know is the relevant context with regard to a targeting system of group stalking and monitoring. Seconds later, you have now a white van, and it is nonetheless the same stalking conduct. When I use the cameras that are on the grounds over there at this Beverly Boutique, you have the same stalking conduct. A third-party group stalker doing nothing but sitting with the motor running. He's just making sure I stay surrounded in a commercial vehicle. Stops in front of the Beverly Boutique, not getting out, just making sure because I stopped, he stays in close relevant positioning, which would also be on the traffic cameras. This is documented. And while I'm sitting over here at the museum, they are monitoring monitoring, and while I was sitting in front of the Beverly Boutique, because they have cameras there, and I was referencing them with regard to the police engaging in stalking and monitoring using their sirens and lights, because they are on cameras. They're on more than one camera while they're engaging in this criminal conduct in concert with third parties. I have used those cameras there before, and that was some time ago. That was around, again, June and July, after I was released from being kidnapped at West Valley Jail. And I was released from being kidnapped April 22nd, early morning. And I immediately was at Tracy Banks's residence at Woodside Senior Apartments, where P.O.C. was ceaselessly underway. The same universal facts present upon leaving, using these surveillance cameras of the entire area to document P.O.C. And P.O.C. includes them parking in front of this closed down boutique, sitting in relevant position, stalking, keeping me surrounded by their person. That's the third element, stalking by entity, and by activity, by light and audible activity. And so I just want to be clear, it's not a coincidence they engage in this. This is that creepy, demonic aspect where they literally engage in doing that which I am speaking of in real time. And it in no way conflicts or contradicts what I'm documenting. It shows their close attention to every word that I'm uttering, like the stalker that it is. And I'm speaking not plurally like the stalkers that they are, because understand they are one group. Okay? Understand that the demonic influence over them is a single entity operating over an expansive group at the same time. This is why you have a whole bunch of strangers engaging in the identical behavioral patterns. And likewise, as you prosecute in a court of law, this is why you have a whole bunch of strangers engaging in the same criminal elements of monitoring no matter where you go. It is the same stalker in the state of California, okay? Engaging in a satanic system. So with regard to the state on traffic camera at the intersection of Euclid and Holt, this is over 10 to 11 times overnight. And this is not new. I have documented this before. I'm just going through and being thorough, and as I continuously document, the same psychopath stalker conduct remaining present, sirens sounding directly next to me and stopping directly next to me. The sirens aren't going anywhere because they're right here stalking, remaining. Okay, sounding their sirens because they are monitoring as they're literally patrolling back and forth. That's that demonic conduct. Understand, you do that same patrolling on foot, you do that same patrolling in airplane and helicopter. It's the same demonic pattern that they're using their emergency vehicles to engage in as they are driving north and south on Euclid, driving east and west on Holt Boulevard, traffic cameras on the intersection, this entire area, traffic cameras on Holt as well, traffic cameras on Plum. Understand, this is all relevant to the prosecution of the state. This is documentation to be presented against a public entity engaged in group stalking and monitoring. Every third-party group stalker acting with that state. This is why they are sounding amplified sirens. This is why they are engaging in patrolling back and forth, because they are acting, and they cannot engage in an expansive system without third-party group stalkers. So to be clear on that, you literally have demons who are swarming around in the parking lot on the corner of Transit and Euclid on the opposite side of the museum. It is P.O.C. And the more you become aware and the more that you familiarize yourself with the elements of group stalking and monitoring as a system, the more you recognize what is severely dark and twisted and demented conduct. And it is aptly described as that which is a psychopath. Okay? A psychopath hovering, paranoid, obsessive stalker. Okay? And this is that of an invisible influence operating over every single state actor and vicariously acting on behalf of the state. It is no different. So let me be clear on that. And when I say demonic, that's exactly what I mean. And that it says that is the close attention that they pay. That is all that they are concerned with. When I was in West Valley Jail, all they were doing was monitoring. I am the singular focus. This is not me trying to put myself in some position of being the focus of attention. I didn't ask for the state to target me. They engaged in it, and I'm going to document it. And I'm also going to expose it for the satanic system that it is. That's what I'm going to do. And understand that they are not ever taking a break. I am the singular focus, while they outwardly conduct themselves as though they are normal in society, and they are not. They are not. This is that which is supposed to be a secret in the state of California, but I doubt California is the only state engaged in this. It's supposed to be maintained a secret because the MO is you're supposed to put the targeted individual away in a mental ward. That's what the plan was. That's what the pattern of conduct is. Okay, this is exactly what Lisa Rogan was engaged in. This is how you get to a mental ward from a false charge of PC 148A1. That's how you get there, because it's a pattern of conduct. Okay, that's how you get there. This is how you get from claiming you have a warrant and what is a fictitious prosecution, and all they want you to do is come in and sign a citation from that which you already refused to sign over 8 months ago, and that's how you end up having your clothes cut off and being placed in a mental ward. That's how you get there, because it's a pattern of conduct. Right? This is supposed to be maintained as a secret, and I'm letting you know because I have no obligation to Satan whatsoever. And whether you believe it or not, you don't have to believe it. You can believe in the objective facts, but it needs to be known, it needs to be understood. The invisible influence is entirely a psychopath. Okay? And you have this psychopath influence over the government. They are hovering, obsessive, paranoid stalkers, acting together in a criminal partnership, trying to put away someone who is aware of what they're doing. And that is the most extreme, most unfathomable criminal enterprise that you can ever speak of. And that's what the state of California is engaged in. And so engaging in ongoing P.O.C. With the group stalker that stays here. This is a black male carrying a shopping cart. He's on the traffic cameras. He's monitoring right now. He's just patrolling everywhere that he's walking at the museum. He's crossing path. He's listening to every word that I am saying. He is under that same demonic influence. And understand the criminal system, the 3 elements of criminal monitoring are satanic. Okay, and engaging in any single one of them is the outward demonstration of demonic possession. Only those who are possessed with a demon, who are servants of Satan himself, are engaging in criminal monitoring. And it is that absolute. Yes, it is that exclusive. Okay? And this is speaking to an expansive group. There are no exceptions. And this is what the state is engaging in while I continuously document every single surveillance camera. This is how you prosecute the state of California. This is how you prosecute a public entity. It is all documentation belonging to the targeted individual who shall prosecute. Okay, because you do not get your day in court. The state is engaged in criminal abridgment of your fundamental rights in a court, engaging in the unlawful denial of that which are plain and simple, rudimentary aspects of your rights under the Constitution, state and federal constitutions. They have every intention to deny your right. This is what Thomas Garza engaged in, all right? This is what Barry Potkin engaged in when the state stole my car. Because engaging in any manner of prosecution by the state directly or by prosecuting a third-party group stalker who unlawfully steals your car, tows your car on behalf of the group stalking entity, the police, at the behest of that is also, understand, that is a means of prosecuting the state. They are in every way concerned with concealing the existence of this system, and this is why they engage in the criminal abridgment of your fundamental right to access the courts. This is also why it is a federal group stalking and monitoring system. They have no intentions of respecting your rights to prosecute the state, to prosecute the public entity engaged in group stalking and monitoring. And not only that, they are engaged in using communication devices to monitor you. So it is entirely federal. And this is how the target individual is able to exercise their right to prosecute that public entity engaged in group stalking, which is a federal violation. So back to, I am hopping around, covering more than one topic at one time because, well, subtopics of the main topic, because it is all interrelated. Understanding context, understanding what they are doing, understanding the fact that it is highly criminal, yes, at an unprecedented level, in a manner never addressed by legislation, federal legislation. But I also want to be clear, not only is it federal prison, it is straitjackets, because it is a bunch of psychopaths who are diligently acting. And this boat has already sailed. It's not a secret anymore. It is thoroughly exposed. But this is what a psychopath does, continuously engaging in that P.O.C. That is all that the state knows to do. Okay, their P.O.C. engages in putting you in a mental ward. Okay, and I'm documenting that. The secret is out. This is all that the state knows to do, so they continue. And this is what a psychopath does. mind you. All right. While the psychopath points its finger at you and says that you are mentally insane as you document and gain objective facts about its own criminal activity. And while they listen to you utter every word about their criminal activity, right? Another person pulling up behind the black SUV across the street is nothing but a demon that listened to me document the fact that that was a previous stalker moving it. That's all that and that is a pattern. That is the identical behavioral pattern. They are psychopaths, absolutely psychopaths. All right. And this one is not acting alone. They're acting as one group. They're all patrolling together. They're all in relevant position. They're all listening to me at once. That's that demonic aspect. All right. This is how they engage in stalking with activity, meaning with simultaneity to any new movement, any gesture, even as minor as bodily functions. If I move my finger inside of my pocket, okay, you're talking about with simultaneity the creation of activity. All right. By the state, by third-party group stalkers. Those are demons that are capable of doing that. A demon does not have to look at you. A demon does not have to speak to you. They are entirely focused on you. And that demon is invisible to the human eye. What I am speaking to is how you are able to see the invisible. You know them by their deeds. You know them by exactly the outward conduct that they are demonstrating. You strip that down because demons are focused on, the state of California, third-party group stalkers are focused on the external appearance of what they are doing. And I am letting you know, you strip that down and you see the substance of what they are doing. And it is in every way the fulfillment of the three criminal elements of monitoring with communication devices. And demons are those who engage in that criminal system by outwardly engaging in that which appears as something other than what it actually is. The purpose of it actually is. And the purpose and what it is legally irrelevant. Okay? You're monitoring. And legally speaking, where a government is monitoring an American citizen, they are presenting an unprecedented threat against the physical safety and livelihood and overall well-being of that American citizen. You're talking about a government exacting its focus in a criminal manner, literally creating an ongoing emergency to the physical safety of that targeted individual. You're talking about a government focusing on an individual. I mean, it is the ultimate in the psychopath bully, right? This is what this is, if you break it down. And there is no aspect of legislation that has ever addressed it, and it needs to be addressed. And that's what I.I.S. legislation that I'm advocating is designed to do. Systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. Every criminal element for monitoring with communication devices is a manner, is a method of inflicting suffering. These are demons that are engaging in it, and it is entirely demonic activity. Every element that they are engaged in on a systematic basis as a singular group acting together to monitor. All right. You have third-party group stalkers who are effectively acting as the government. Where the state is engaged in group stalking and monitoring, third-party group stalkers, the people of the state, are effectively acting as the government, as they are vicariously present, vicariously speaking, vicariously acting. They are monitoring, stalking, present on behalf of that government that is directly stalking by police, by plane, by helicopter, which is flying in the background, mind you, okay? Let's be clear. Everywhere that I go, I continuously document that. This has nothing to do with an airport, okay? This is the psychopathic, demonic conduct of a government. That is the same helicopter flying. It is 10:41 a.m. I am capturing an image of that right now as they are crossing path, flying directly in front of me. Alrighty, they are flying parallel to Holt Boulevard, flying flying perpendicular to Euclid Avenue. All right, and so you also have the group stalker that engaged in mirroring what I was saying. These are literally demons that are just going off of what I'm saying. They're all listening, paying close attention to me. Gets in the white van at the same time that I'm taking pictures of the helicopter crossing path. Understand, they're in relevant position. They are monitoring with the state that's stalking directly, and this is what I'm saying. Not only are they demons that are listening to everywhere, paying very close attention, engaging in that which I just spoke of, which is the pattern, they're also engaged in the criminal elements of monitoring. So this is demonic criminal activity, okay? And that's what I just took an image of, that third-party group stalker getting back in his van, in relevant position to me at the Beverly Boutique, as are all of them. All right, and what you also have, this is what I want to get, this is omnitrans, where they sit at the bus stop and the state amplifies the sound of their speaker. They are monitoring as they sit at this bus stop. Let's be clear. They're creating light activity. The state is amplifying the sound of their speaker, which they intentionally use to monitor. There are no exceptions to that. And also, let me show you how the system works. I took an image of that. Understand that omnitrans is no different than any other individual group stalker who was loitering in relevant position, which is what the black SUV was doing, which is what the third-party group stalker after him in the white van was doing, and this is exactly what omnitrans is doing now. Understand you have one that leaves and another that replaces. This is how the system operates, okay? It is 10:43 a.m. Understand it's the same exact conduct, okay? That is the same exact conduct. This is what I was speaking of last night when I was talking about Sally Joe. Or not last night, a couple nights ago, if you listen to my podcast, and you're talking about the system of group stalking. And if you're looking at Sally Joe, who is repeatedly pacing back and forth in front of you, or just remaining standing in front of you, you would, after a while, look at Sally Joe like, wow, Sally Joe is not very normal. Why is she just standing in front of me all day long? Or why is she just pacing in front of me back and forth all day long? Why is she walking in circles around me all day long? This is weird and it's getting very creepy. Sally Joe has an issue, okay? The way that the state breaks up this stalking conduct. This is group stalking, okay? They break up what Sally Joe is doing amongst a group of people. This is what omnitrans is doing. It's the same thing that the black SUV was doing. It's the same thing that the white van was doing, okay? There is no difference in the conduct. While the state is hovering above, literally pacing in the sky, demonic activity in the helicopter. All right, so Sally Joe's conduct, where you would readily be able to identify Sally Joe. Also, the fact that not only is she stalking you, Sally Joe is monitoring you. That's why she's engaging in this very creepy conduct of pacing back and forth and walking all around you in a circle and standing in your path, like everywhere you're going, making she stays in alignment to you. That is stalking that she's doing under the law. That's what that's defined. And it's also monitoring conduct. That's what Sally Joe is doing. What the group stalkers do, what the state of California has designed, is a system whereby Sally Joe cannot be, the assumption is that Sally Joe will not be able to be identified as the stalker if you break up Sally Joe's behavior amongst a group of people. Okay, so you're not looking at and not able to narrow down the stalking conduct to Sally Joe. It's Michael and Thomas and Robert and Monica and Mary Jane, all of them that are engaging in merely walking past. Or also standing, some of them walking past, some of them walking around in a circle, some of them walking in different directions. What you need to understand, you've got the same demonic influence operating over all 5 or 6 of them, however you want to number them. However small or expansive you want to make the group, this is a hypothetical so you understand what group stalking is. They are engaging in a singular focus, which is your location, keeping you surrounded. And it is criminal teamwork. And that is what group stalking is. And this is why I'm showing you what omnitrans, this is Route 87, driving southbound on Euclid Avenue. Understand, sitting at that bus stop, they're monitoring. At the same time, they're present, creating light activity in relevant position to me, the state amplifying the sound of that speaker on their bus, third-party group stalkers patrolling in traffic, and the state patrolling in a helicopter in front of me, okay? This is P.O.C. And there is no exception to that. The state's pattern of conduct does not ever stop. And what you also need to understand is that omnitrans and every other individual group stalker, such as U.S., who's coming around the corner doing the exact same thing, are engaged in demonic activity, okay? That's what that is. The same demonic influence operating over an expansive group of people. And UPS wants to be documented. They're not only engaged in criminal facilitation, using their employees to engage in criminal monitoring, light activity, relevant positioning, but also supplying planes to the state to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, an entirely unprecedented level of threatening conduct. While you are monitoring an American citizen, UPS is going to be prosecuted thoroughly for that. And that is not a coincidence that they're engaging in that. And this is what I'm saying. All the state does is all that it can do is engage in the same criminal conduct. It is not prepared for the targeted individual that confronts it and is intending and has designed the legal framework to prosecute it. So you literally have them engaging in the criminal conduct that is only being documented. All it is doing is intensifying the result of their prosecution. That is all that the state is doing. That is all, and that is all that it can do. Understand that. It's a demonic system that was designed to insulate itself from prosecution. Okay, let's be clear. There was never a plan for the target individual to sue the court. The plan is to put the target individual in a mental ward. Understand this. That's criminal obstruction. This is Lisa Rogan. This is Deputy Sharp, badge number 2919. Deputy Bellamy, badge number 2623. Deputy Dominguez, whose badge number I do not have, but they are on the facility cameras inside of West Valley Jail engaging in sexual assault and battery while they are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, while they are engaged in criminal defamation. All right? This is what third-party group stalkers such as Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer engage in, okay? This is what the system is designed to do. It is not designed to respond to or in any way handle the target individual that is prosecuting them. Okay? And the legal response to the criminal system is it is absolutely, the state system, the state's resolve of defamation is entirely irrelevant to the prosecution of the state that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is in no way prepared. Okay, so I am literally documenting continuous demonic activity. I'm going to be clear about it. It is absolutely from hell. These are demons. This is a satanic spirit operating over an expansive group of people, operating over the government. Okay, you do with that what you will. And now we have freedom of religion in this country. But let me be clear. Let me state something that needs to be brought to your attention. While it is freedom of religion, you can sit up and burn candles and pray to Satan all day long if you want to, okay? But we have some documents, some controlling documents in this country, i.e. the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, where the American citizen has God-given freedoms. I'm not given my freedom by the government, all right? So I just want to be clear on something. Satan and Satanism is diametrically opposed to constitutionalism. Let's be clear on that, okay? Satan does not care about your constitutional rights. Satan does not care about your freedom that is God-given to you and not given to you or delegated to you by some government, which you agree to allow to engage in governing you, all right? This is all by contract. If you know your constitutional history, if you're aware of American history, all right, this is the background. And this is a government that is engaged in a satanic targeting system, diametrically opposed to the government, the purpose of government, and the historical background of how government was even derived in this country. And understand this satanic system, this is in direct opposition to that. Okay, so you can have freedom of religion all you want, but understand it is absolutely in contrast with the Constitution. Satanism is in direct opposition to your alleged God-given rights as a free person, not given rights by any other person or by any entity. Okay, Satan is directly opposed to that. All right, I just want to make that point clear. Anyway, it is 10:51 a.m. and the ongoing psychopath conduct by the state. Okay, these are people driving the fire trucks, driving the police cars, flying these government aircrafts, engaging in driving the ambulance, and they are literally sitting around listening to me sounding sirens like a psychopath. You got to understand this. If you can wrap your mind around it, is absolutely psychopathic conduct. And you know why? Because they are engaged in criminal monitoring, but it is demonic oppression operating over this government, operating over this group of people. And that's what I'm exposing, and I'm documenting the pattern of conduct. It's 10:51 a.m., and that's P.O.C. And the traffic cameras at Euclid and Holt capture all of that. The state engaging in seeking to, they can go in any direction that they want. The documentation and the prosecution of the state of California, understand monitoring is occurring everywhere that the target individual is at, meaning everywhere that I go is where the system is in operation. And there is an entire zone of relevant positioning because they are using communication devices. And so everywhere that documentation is available, it belongs to me. It's going to be means for the prosecution of the state of California. So the state can engage in going south down Euclid to try to avoid being... there's documentation everywhere gathered by what the state is engaged in. and it shall all be presented against the state. This is how you prosecute a public entity. It is in no way impervious to being exposed as satanic. It is in no way impervious to being prosecuted in a court of law and then being put in straitjackets in a cage where they belong. And understand that this is not just, being subject to the system, I have every right to be furious, but I am past that. This is about putting a psychopath where they belong, a closeted psychopath, while they're engaged in all manner of criminal activity, outwardly appearing as though they are normal, and I take pleasure in demonstrating how they are absolutely not. Okay, if any individual was engaged in it in the ordinary stalking scenario, you would absolutely, this person has issues. We need to get them checked. We need to get them assessed. And I'm letting you know what the situation is. It is a spiritual disease, okay? And it is clinically described as being a psychopath. And that is something that medicine cannot cure. Let's be clear of that. It's something that is entirely a malicious aspect of that personhood under that impression of demonic possession. It's born of malice. That satanic spirit is purely concerned with the outward appearance of things. And it is demonic activity what you're looking at, okay? But like I said, my case, the case against the state of California, it is already established. The state is already prosecuted, and it is premised upon actual facts, objective facts, which you present against this public entity in a court of law, all right? The fact that I am speaking to Satanism, a demonic system, is because it is relevant context that needs to be exposed. If you do not keep that concealed, that you have a people engaged in Satanism together, you expose that. All right, that strengthens it. The fact that it remains a secret. I believe that this happened to me for the purpose of exposing it, and that's why I'm exposing it unapologetically. Okay, and Satanism is not limited to some company or some specific name or some trade or job, or no, it's not. You're talking about USPS, UPS, Omnitrans, FedEx, Amazon Prime. Every business that I'm walking around, this satanic influence is no respecter. Anybody that is susceptible to that, and you're talking about an expansive group of people. It doesn't matter where you work. That is a means of engaging in the criminal activity. The same goes for the government, right? Satan is exceedingly interested in operating influence over the government, and that's what this is, okay? They are demon-possessed, engaging in that relevant positioning in a helicopter. This is a psychopath pacing back and forth in a helicopter, just like a psychopath on foot pacing back and forth in front of me, all right? And demons, those are demons that are doing that. That is the outward manifestation of the demonic impression on them, be clear. All right. The Euclid Avenue traffic cameras will show Ontario police crossing path in relevant position, driving south on Euclid Avenue, not acting individually, acting with every other third-party group stalker that are continuously patrolling. That's the state directly engaging in relevant positioning. They are monitoring. Okay. That's P.O.C. And that is on the traffic cameras, and they're entirely focused on me. So that's the ongoing stalking conduct by the police. And that's on the traffic cameras. It's 10:56 a.m. They are heading toward what would be Sunkist, that whole area where the state engages in stalking with its light, the fake sun, remember, migrating all the way in that direction. I literally have documentation of the state's fake sun object going in every single direction, remaining over my head. I mean, the state has nothing to do but engage in POC. It's not prepared in any way for the inevitable prosecution in a court of law, in a forum where there is absolutely no explanation for what has been exposed and for what has been documented against it. And you're talking about the officers of the court? You're talking about these officers that are driving around in these police vehicles? You're talking about the inept deputies and inmates and medical workers inside of the jails? Right? This is all designed to conceal what is a satanic targeting system. And this is overnight POC, so ongoing stalking using their vehicles, remaining around, just sitting around like a creepy stalker, sirens sounding repeatedly just for a couple seconds, right, as they're driving past with lights on their vehicles. Okay, criminal teamwork, all right, and also engaging in the same conduct by patrolling back and forth, driving back and forth, amplifying the sound of sirens, just ongoing stalking and monitoring all night long while I remain at the museum. All right, that's P.O.C. It's 10:57 a.m. And that is the P.O.C. I just want you to get a sample. That's called audible activity. This is a group stalker in the background who is engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring with the state. That is repeatedly flying over me at the Ontario Town Square. It's currently 1:48 p.m. I took an image of this group stalker. This is at the address 200 North Euclid Avenue. And this is where I spoke before, where they engage in stalking with activity. That's exactly what he was engaged in. After I observed him literally standing in alignment to me at the gate, he's just standing there in position. And I am positioned in front of the surveillance cameras at Ontario Town Square, just monitoring as group stalking is ongoing. And so before I get up to reference the cameras in detail using my signs, which the same signs that I created while kidnapped inside of West Valley Jail, referencing federal law 18 U.S.C. section 42A, which is federal stalking, which is what the state is engaged in with every other third-party group stalker in relevant position. Engage in criminal monitoring using communication devices. This is why they engage in stalking with light and stalking with activity. And by stalking with activity, what I mean is every movement you make is punctuated with activity, something you can hear. That's what this group stalker using the trailer, the construction yellow truck that I took a picture of, that's what he's engaged in. And at the moment that I stood up and started referencing the camera, pulling up my sign, he immediately turns on the ignition and begins what is patrolling using that construction vehicle. Understand, this is demonic activity. He's engaging in the same exact patrolling, literally pacing back and forth while sitting on using the construction vehicle. Understand that, okay? And in addition to patrolling, that's relevant positioning, he is also creating a substantial audible activity, which again, he punctuates my movement. So at the time I get up and reference the cameras, which I'm referencing the cameras right now, the security camera specifically that I am at is the one next to the Christmas tree, which is adjacent to the big clock at Ontario Town Square. And he is engaging in stalking with activity. The security cameras will also show an Asian male wearing a green vest, black bottoms. He's standing in alignment behind me. These are those who engage in close proximity in surrounding, listening to every word that I'm saying, but they don't act as individuals. This is group stalking. At the same time that this third-party group stalker at 200 North Euclid Avenue begins using that construction vehicle to literally pace around, engaging in the demonic relevant positioning conduct and create audible activity. That is how you monitor, by the way. At the same time he does this, the state increases its flight activity. Immediately, a Southwest Airlines plane flies diagonally over Ontario Square over me, which while I am referencing the camera, I'm literally pointing up to the plane because it's flying over me diagonally over Ontario Town Square, which would be coming from the Metro 102 apartments. It's flying, again, coming out of the blue, flying at a diagonal angle, coming from underneath the clouds, right? And invisibly so and audibly so, because they're engaging in monitoring at the same time. Okay, so this is the state. This is the demonic activity. This is where you are talking about them outwardly trying to conduct themselves as though they are not focused. But what I am telling you is everything about their conduct demonstrates otherwise. It tells you exactly what they're doing. This is why they are engaged in concerted conduct at the same time I make any movement or any change thereof. I also took a picture of a third-party group stalker engaging in monitoring, the black female and black and red plaid, and what she does is she comes out of the blue with her communication device. This is on camera, the camera that I'm referencing, and she stands right next to me. What is she engaged in? The same outward external appearance of taking a picture in front of the Christmas tree. This is the form by which, and by form what I mean is the external appearance that they are using in order to engage in monitoring with their phones, because that's exactly what they're doing. And I also point out the fact how the construction worker, the security guard, the third parties at the town square, this woman comes out of the blue, like the plane that came out of the blue, like him starting his construction
truck out of the blue, meaning not out of the blue, at the same time that I engage in a new movement. I pull out my sign, I start referencing the camera, referencing federal stalking under Title 18. This woman comes, stands right next to me, holding her phone. I point this out to the camera. He immediately starts the ignition on his construction truck. The security guard that I pointed out in alignment to me engages in what is crossing path, where he was standing in alignment to me, and then when you engage in movement, that's crossing path. He still remains in relevant position. And the planes, it began increasing in their activity. That's in a matter of 30 seconds. You have two Southwest Airlines and then another white plane that flies over. This is P.O.C. And again, this is the same entity that's engaging in stalking. I don't think that that's a question that is reasonably asserted whatsoever. Southwest Airlines flying over me while I'm walking in any direction. That is the state that is engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. Fire Battalion. This is the state using a battalion truck, B1815, driving north on Euclid Avenue, crossing path, monitoring with the state. That is the alternative to a police car, the alternative to the AMR. It's the same entity engaging in the same stalking conduct. And I want to be clear, this is what demons do. So they are using the Christmas tree, using the opportunity to appear as though they are engaging in one activity when they are in every way focused on and monitoring with communication devices. And so this third-party group stalker, who I took a picture of, merely engaging in relevant positioning, arriving out of the blue on schedule. This is the behavioral pattern, right next to me with her phone at the moment that I engage in activity on the camera, while the plane is literally amplifying in sound over my head, okay? So this is what prefaces it. This is what demons do also, okay? They're not going to be standing around in ninja suits acting like they're stalkers. They are acting like stalkers. I blatantly recognize it. What I am showing, I'm stripping down these implausible and unpersuasive outward veneers that they're engaged in. Those are sirens in the background. I'm referencing the cameras. While these sirens are sounding, third parties are crossing path. The same conduct, okay? The state flying over me by airplane, while that third party group stalker came and stood right next to me with her phone. The same exact conduct, okay? Ongoing audible activity as he's keeping the motor running on his little construction truck, okay? And again, he started that as so they are following me. That is called stalking. That's what he's doing, stalking with activity. All right, that's what and you want to pay attention. Those sirens sound for 2 seconds and they stop, just like I documented on December 9th. And then we went out and I captured video of what they were doing, literally loitering in relevant position, creating all manner of light activity, stalking with the use of sirens while I was sitting in the plaza, documenting audibly how the sirens were starting and stopping with simultaneity to my touching my phone screen, that which a human ear cannot hear, okay? That is demonic. The ability to do that is demonic, and that is the behavioral pattern. It is also criminal monitoring. That's how you monitor. You keep anything that you do anything that you do is punctuated with activity, something that you can sound. That's how they monitor you and make sure that you're always monitored, essentially. That's how you do. You stay in their path physically. You keep them surrounded with any manner of activity while you are engaging in ongoing presence. So this is and she's a black female. She's on the camera, and immediately she makes an about face and appears with a child. Understand, that's another unpersuasive and irrelevant aspect. She is monitoring. She can hand her phone off to that child, okay, and she is still monitoring, okay? There is no form whatsoever. You're looking at demons engaging in desperate criminal conduct. That's what you're looking at. And it is monitoring. It is P.O.C. And while she's standing there, and now you have a photographer that arrives out of the blue, and it is taking a picture of them as opposed to her standing next to me coming out of the blue, holding her cell phone, okay? She's monitoring. She's still monitoring when she has another third party come and take her picture holding a camera. This is an effort of an external appearance as though they're doing something else when they are monitoring. How do you know this? Because the same stalking conduct by the state is occurring with their presence, their abrupt presence following what I do, okay? They are following me, hence they are stalking me. I am the leader. Okay, that's how that goes when you're monitoring someone. I am the leader. And when you're monitoring, you are necessarily following the leader, in that the leader is the one who you are monitoring. So based on what they do, when they do it, is going to determine, it dictates how they are engaging in activity. That is why this man literally stood in position while I'm sitting on the bench. He literally was standing in alignment, and I'm standing in front of the surveillance cameras at Ontario Town Square. And was standing in alignment while the security guard is in front of me. Okay, so they're in alignment while you have the third-party group stalkers that were all over by the amphitheater area. And again, ongoing patrolling by traffic. These are all one. This is one group. They're not separate. They are one group, all monitoring together. They engage in contributing to creating activity like he is. He's creating a substantial amount of activity using that construction truck. And this is that which he does with simultaneity to my activity. And so this was visually captured on the surveillance cameras at Ontario Town Square. And that is P.O.C. And at the same time that he's engaging in that, the state flying over my head diagonally over the Ontario Town Square in two commercial-sized airplanes. That is the state being provided instruments of monitoring by third parties who shall be prosecuted in federal court for doing so. And this is how you disincentivize, this is how you deconstruct and dismantle federal group stalking as a system. The state cannot do it inconspicuously. It's not inconspicuous anymore once you understand the elements, which is what I'm explaining. But the idea is that it is inconspicuous when it is through the participation of the people of the state, and you prosecute each and every one engaging in criminal facilitation. That includes UPS, FedEx, Amazon Prime, Alaska Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and every other third party that I have documented engaging in. That is the state's ability to use your brand to engage in what is a highly threatening criminal act. You are participating in waging that threat. You are directly engaging in criminal facilitation of an incredibly threatening system that presents an ongoing emergency to the very life of that targeted individual, and you're going to be prosecuted for it. And there is no forum. There is absolutely no legal excuse from that prosecution because this is the system. The state relies on third parties in order to monitor. Understand that. So there is no getting out of that whatsoever. The constitutional and human rights, the protection, the physical safety and overall well-being is a superseding interest over any legally irrelevant claim of a third-party group stalker who is in any way facilitating the state's criminal system, period. Okay? It is a superseding interest, and there is absolutely no form, meaning there is no external appearance whereby you're saying, I was doing this and I was not engaging in monitoring. You are engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring. It is not a coincidence that you're doing so in the presence, in relevant position, at the same time that the state is blatantly stalking, flying over my head in an airplane and sounding its sirens, as it is always doing, as it has been documented, okay, in conformity to the exact same behavioral pattern, the exact same criminal elements of monitoring. It's P.O.C. It's 2 p.m. And in the background, he's just keeping the ongoing humming of that machine. This is ongoing monitoring, listening to every word that I say. While on the surveillance cameras, you'll see them engaging and running around and outwardly looking as though everything is normal. These are demons, using even minor children, all right, in order to engage in creating audible activity. Engaging in patrolling conduct. This is P.O.C. and that's what demons do, by the way. But we'll get aside from that aspect, that spiritual disease that is on this group of people. You're talking about the criminal elements, and all three remain present: light, activity, and relevant positioning. We have another plane right now. It is 2 p.m. I'll go ahead and capture an image, and this is amplified audible activity. Again, you don't hear it before it arrives. You hear it right when it's visible. That is unnatural audible activity. This is the same conduct of the state. Engaging in that conduct, that's P.O.C. And this is that which was, I want to say that's Alaska Airlines. Alaska Airlines flying directly over my head yesterday as well while I'm on Bonneview. It is 2:01 p.m. and that's P.O.C. at Ontario Town Square. I will be documenting P.O.C. as I was at Stater Brothers upon my exit, and the state flying over my head in the parking lot. Okay? The same exact pattern of conduct at a different venue. It's the same POC. It's 2:01 p.m. December 12, 2020, and that is the POC. Hi. Yeah, I just have a question. What is the... Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. What is the security guard's name?
Diana.
She's right back there. She's a female. Yeah, her. This is. What's her name?
Diana?
Diana? Diana?
What is their problem?
No, I just wanted her name. That's all. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad she knows my name. Thank you. Have a good one. Okay, I'm at Ontario Library. Just wanted to document upon my entry. She is not only personally documented as engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, literally parking on the sidewalk while she is at the Wells Fargo Bank across the street from this library, but she is engaging in harassing me by any means possible, and on more than one occasion while she is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. So I just wanted to get her name. I have already documented her license plate. I've already documented her engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, and she's monitoring me right now as well, but I'm saying in the past she's already been documented. I'm at Ontario Ovid Family Library. POC is continuous, and also the security cameras inside showing how they are engaging in ongoing patrolling, audible activity, listening to me. It is the same exact behavioral pattern at work while I am inside using the desktop to document. It's POC. It's 2:12 p.m. And again, as I leave from documenting sitting at the bench by the Christmas tree on the surveillance camera where the planes are flying over me, as I walk to the library, the plane activity continues. This is audible activity that the state creates because the state is always present via aircraft. They engage in creating audible activity via aircraft for monitoring. Understand that. So that's intentional for them to sound the sound of the planes flying over. They are always stalking, always present, remaining parked in the sky, literally always present. That's how they come out of the blue. They literally come out of nowhere, where you do not hear them approaching. You hear them suddenly arrive and suddenly sounding very loud, and you do not hear them as they go past. The same POC with the sirens. It is targeted audible activity. That's how you monitor. You hone in on the person that you're monitoring, the location where they're at, and you target that audible activity. So it is 2:13 p.m. and it's POC. Oh, there's sirens in the background. It's 3:52 p.m. Those sirens immediately following the Amazon Prime commercial plane that just flew directly over my head at the Mercy House. At my arrival, amplified audible activity while they're flying at low elevation over the building, engaging and migrating with me as I'm walking south on Bonneview. The commercial planes are just flying over my head, staying in step with me. So as I'm at Mercy House, that's Amazon Prime Air flying over, FedEx flying over my head at the moment that I make a change in direction. So I was walking, to be specific, so you know what I mean by stalking with activity, any minor deviation from what you're doing. And again, those are ongoing sirens. This is exactly what they do at the museum. This is the stalking by the state. And that is for the purpose of monitoring. The sirens are to monitor. So while I'm walking down the street, you have... I was going to go from walking on the street to the sidewalk because I was looking for a driveway to just easily pull up my carriage walker. I'm pulling like a suitcase walker with my property on it. And so the moment that I make a deviation, meaning I turned around to go that way, but then I changed my mind. So basically I was walking, I turn around, then I turn back around. As soon as I make that minor change in my activity, FedEx airplane comes out of the blue, okay? Comes clear and flying at a very low elevation and flies directly over my head. That's the stalking conduct by the state. This is another plane. I'm at Washington and Bonneview. This is another white plane, commercial-sized plane. I'm looking at 424 Bonneview. License plate 667. Oh, can't get the rest of that license plate. But that's the state flying over, third-party group stalkers surround, and the state sounding sirens. Okay, but again, I'm just looking at the drivers. They are all in relevant position inside of these buildings. Right, that's relevant positioning as they're passing in traffic. As the third parties are sitting outside of the building, they're in relevant position on the sidewalk. He's using his communication device across the field. This is group stalking. All right, the state is creating activity by the constant flight over by airplane and by the sirens in the background. That's P.O.C. This third party is in relevant position. I'll document him. 8, George, Charlie, Sam, 399, 00275, Frank 1, 7, Ted, 121, 8, Robert, Nancy, Fred, 714, 8, Ted, Paul, George, 489, 6, Victor, David, Victor, 640. Those are third parties that are crossing path. They're all monitoring. It's a systematic, ongoing system of monitoring with communication devices. So I'm specifically at the intersection of Washington Street, 900 East, and Bonneview, where the state is flying over the building at 435. I guess this would be 435 Bonneview or 435 Washington. This is where Mercy House is located. And they were doing the same thing yesterday while I was approaching the building and while I was inside, repeatedly flying over the building. Not only are you at low elevation in order for that sound to be amplified inside of the building, that is that which the state is increasing in its volume for purposes of monitoring, which I am subject to while I'm inside or outside of any location. Like I documented, this is why you document all third parties. He's just sitting in relevant position with his headlights facing me. That's the P.O.C. by third parties. And ongoing patrolling by third parties in traffic is audible activity. That is P.O.C. That is the one that I documented. The license plate. A little further. 8, George, Charlie, Sam, 399. As he's crossing path going to his vehicle, he's monitoring. As he gets in his car, sits in it with headlights on, he's monitoring. He's engaged in relevant positioning and light activity and audible activity as he's engaged in, that is conversation, using your voice to create activity while in concert with the patrolling traffic and the patrolling state by plane. Okay, so I was at State Street. That's where I was at specifically. State and Bonneview, and the state flies over me right there at that corner, flies over my head in a FedEx plane, commercial-sized FedEx plane, and that is at the moment that I engage in changing my direction of walking. That's P.O.C., that third-party license plate that I just read, at the same time that they're popping fireworks. It is December 12th, and they are crossing path. That's P.O.C. 5, Nancy George, Uncle 185. 6, XAP 356. Dog 824, Robert, Orlando. 8, Apple 8, 7356. 7, Wendy, Charles, Sam 115. Okay, again, they're popping fireworks. It's the same creation of activity as the airplanes and the sirens. They're creating activity. You see they engage in any manner of noise. That's what I mean by anything that you can hear. 8, night, Apple 370. 8, night, OY 500. And that's night with a K. So K-N-I-G-H-T. Or K as in king if you'd like. 6, Nancy, brother, uncle 349. P.O.C. making a U-turn. That's a means of patrolling. That's P.O.C. He is coming out of 420 directly across the street. He was engaged in using the vehicles across the street from me yesterday while the state was popping off fireworks. Lights on the vehicles as he's patrolling in them, moving them up and down the street, monitoring. 6, Edward, David, 464. I think if I saw that correctly. These are just third parties that I'm documenting. They're all engaging in monitoring. It's a systematic, ongoing monitoring system. 8, Edward, Bank, Thomas, 640. 7, Wendy, Nancy, King, 747. Hear the fireworks in the background? They're monitoring. 7, Mary, Young, Thomas, 325. 8, King, cousin, uncle, 089. Paul, 28, Apple, Orange. That's P.O.C. Fireworks. Light activity, 5244, Thomas, 2. So you can see. Ready? And this is what group stalking is. Literally, that's what group stalking is. And again, remember, I have documented before my ongoing encounter with fireworks everywhere that I go, at the museum, at Woodside Senior Apartments, when I'm sleeping in the vehicle at Fern and G, 30568 Edward 2, 8 Robert Thomas Robert 621. Creating ongoing light activity. Remember, the system is, and this is how you'll see everything that I'm documenting, you see they engage in the same conduct, it's just a different face, but another one comes and engages in the same exact conduct. So the Camry that I documented with the license, who comes across his path, he keeps his headlights on me. Ongoing patrolling with headlights on. The building starts blinking, the light on the building starts blinking, and he is creating light activity with his truck on the opposite side of the street. The same exact conduct, different face. 6 Charlie, Young, Sam 505. This is a group stalker that's just standing in relevant position. I'm going to take a picture of that. Just monitoring. And he's in relevant position while he's at the opposite side of the sidewalk as well, while they're popping fireworks. It's a group system. They're all acting together. All right, and this is not different when I'm inside of any building, including Mercy House. 8 Edward King, Uncle 002. 5 Robert 63782. 3233 King 2. 7 Edward Mary Larry 434. 8 JLC 132. 6 WDL 742. 7 VCN 488. 7 David Sam Paul 709. 8 RAC 651. Paper plate BCBB67. I think that's criminal obstruction and concealing their IDs. They're not even brand new cars that have these paper license plates. Let's be clear on that. I've seen old cars with these paper license plates, and of course the public entity that is targeting you provide any manner of criminal obstruction to engage in concealing ID. But the fact of the matter is, this third party, he's just loitering in relevant position. He is no different than the cars that are patrolling as one group. Let's be clear of that. I took another picture of him. 7 Wendy 33019. What you want to understand, what you're talking about with regard to patrolling third parties. 5 Young Edward Zebra 436. I'm just taking a picture of a group stalker that is, they were sitting in their car parking while others are patrolling. They're just loitering in relevant position, and he was just sitting in his car. Now he's just getting out of his car. The third party remains in the vehicle. They're group stalking. You have light activity on 416 at South Bonneview Avenue. That building light is blinking. That's light activity. That's demonic. Using the hazard lights for blinking light activity, that's the same stalking with light conduct. That's demonic, while they are engaging in patrolling. And what my point was is that the ongoing patrolling by the vehicles in traffic. Understand, by patrolling, that means crossing paths repeatedly. So when you're crossing path more than one time, 8 Sam Mary Wendy 133, you are engaging in patrolling conduct. That is the same conduct where you have a group of them going in different directions. They're crossing path, they're patrolling as one group. It is the same as Sally Joe just repeatedly walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. This is demonic activity, okay? This is a demon, license plate 52244 Thomas 2, P.O.C. And this is understanding that traffic and understanding what demonic activity looks like and the ways that you are able to extract what is actually occurring behind the outward appearance. 5 Nancy Larry Zebra 365 Vitco Foods. That is license plate 04752Y2. 8 George Thomas King 204. 8 Nancy Thomas Jack 95. 8 George Carrie Bob 133. That's Carrie with a C. 6 Victor Uncle Robert 829. Okay, and this is the same thing as somebody just patrolling in front of you over and over, keeping in your path. 4 Xavier Robert Bryan 648. 7 Uncle Henry 839. 8 Edward Thomas Charlie 067. 3 Paul King Jack 191. 6 King George King 227. This is an exceptionally old vehicle. It says 9794. 1X37524. There you go. The license plate on the back tail. So with regard to the state engaging in that same demonic activity, flying over your head in an airplane, flying in circles, flying back and forth over you in a helicopter, that is the same demonic activity. Understand, they do it under the guise of traffic, being in the cars. So I am literally revealing how demonic activity is in your face every single day. 8 Nancy, Larry Victor, 189. 8 Larry Edwards, 625. And every single last one of them engaged in monitoring. The state is consumed with keeping you surrounded physically because this is how you monitor. The state is not capable of doing it by itself without outwardly appearing as the stalker that it is. So they engage in things like fireworks in the middle of December. 7 Jack 4 1977. 7 Uncle Henry Bob 705. No license plate on an old car. Okay, that's called criminal obstruction. 6 Nancy Brian Uncle 349. I already documented this vehicle. This is the same third party that's returned back to 420. 5 Wendy George Nancy 883, I believe. It's a Toyota Corolla crossing path. These are just samples of what third parties are doing everywhere that I go. I am just documenting them. They are all subject to prosecution for engagement in the criminal elements of monitoring, and it's not a coincidence that the state is stalking via aircraft. The state putting on display those who will be prosecuted for criminal facilitation, for providing the state with tools to engage in stalking and monitoring an incredibly threatening criminal system. That is Amazon Prime, that is Southwest Airlines, and I mean second by second. You're talking about the plane hovers over me while I'm at State Street in a FedEx plane. And then less than 2 minutes later, a Southwest Airlines plane. And understand, the state engages in this idiotic, like I said, the state can't do anything but engage in the P.O.C. And everything that the state does, mind you, this is the beauty of, there is the malicious design of the system, but then there is the beauty of the prosecution of the state, because therein lies that teamwork. That same teamwork is what acts to prosecute all of them together, while they are subject to being isolated in a federal court of law. There is nothing that they can do to shelter each other from that prosecution. 7 Mary King Robert 094. And all of these third parties are engaging in relevant positioning, audible activity, and or light activity, while the state is the state, meaning the third parties, vicariously acting on behalf, blowing off fireworks. This is not a coincidence. You are looking at what group stalkers do. Okay, fireworks. The planes over my head. 7 Wendy Q as in Queen Mary 284. Another paper plate on an old Honda Pilot. 7 Sam Robert Dorothy 018. Light activity on a Chevy Silverado turning. That is license plate 4455 Apple II. License plate 8 King Charlie Uncle 089. I'm at Bonneview and State, where the state flew over my head. 6 Frank Henry Xavier 451. 8 Larry Wendy Jack 734. A lot of these are coming back and crossing path again. And let me tell you about the state's defeatist attitude, is engaging in reusing those third-party group stalkers who have already been documented. Like this one, after I read his license plate, he makes a U-turn. Understand, this is patrolling. This is stalking with light. That's what he's doing. He comes down the street and he turns back around and he's going to loiter in relevant position. Those are sirens in the background. Those are lights in the background. He's acting with the state. They're in relevant position on an opposite street. And again, that's 44555 Apple II, P.O.C. All right, 7 Victor Robert, Sam 142. 6 Edward Thomas Zebra 149. And these are third parties who are crossing path. 7 George 85054, while the state is on the next side street sounding sirens and lights. Okay, just like I captured at B Street when I was leaving Ontario Library. Stalking with light. 6 Wendy Xavier Larry 015. Just as I captured as I was leaving the Ontario Library, and I documented audibly the stalking conduct with the sirens. At the same time, I'm pressing a button on my phone. At the same time, I'm making a new item of documentation into my phone, switching activities, switching applications on the phone. The state stalking with conduct, meaning following, punctuating my movements with the sound of sirens. And then as I walk out, I capture fire, ambulance, and police, creating a substantial amount of light activity. That's what they're doing right now. Okay? And they are just mounting up in traffic, crossing path. These are demons. 6, Young Henry Edward, 352. Handicap license plate 303, Xavier Bob. 00160 Charlie 1, 8 Paul Mary Xavier 860. Right, this is how the state monitors you. 7 Mary, I as in igloo, Charlie 903, 7 Zebra Edward Bob 876, 7 Zebra Jack Thomas 380, 8 Charlie Queen Young 092, 6 Charlie Sam Charlie 636. Those are sirens in the background. This is ongoing audible activity as they're just patrolling on by. And understand, they are vicariously acting on behalf of one entity. So you literally have one person through the multiplicity of faces. So you're talking about demonic activity. This is pacing through all the different faces. 5 Dog Larry Mary 632. 5 Paul Larry Paul 195. 8 Apple Victor Bob 089. 8 Nancy Frank Thomas 328. 8 Robert 0 Jack 069. 8 Charlie Igloo Edward 465. 88652 Bob 3. This is excellent documentation. 8 George Frank Samuel 231. Paper plate. It says Bob Charlie 04 D52. It's literally construction paper with black ink on it. 8 Thomas Sam George 914 is on the back, okay? Different from the paper plate on the front. This is 6 Paul Larry Apple 656. 4 Victor Uncle George 074. 7 Zebra Frank Mary 726. All right, and directly across, you've got light activity. He's just stalking over here, sitting at the dead end. And this is called criminal teamwork. While he is in alignment to me, I just took a picture of him, the one that made the U-turn on State Street. Then he goes down this dead end. He's just sitting with his headlights on me. Let's read that license plate again. This is a demon. 44555 Apple 2. Understand, this is criminal teamwork. That is 8 Mary Wendy 0510. This is P.O.C, like I told you, engaging in the same identical behavioral pattern. He's literally sitting in the dead end in alignment to me. Brink Security is no exception. They are 2961961 with a federal government license plate. I have documented the federal government at Andy's Burgers engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct while the state's fake sun is over and while they are in relevant position, okay, and activity is ongoing. This is a government system, and Brink Security is absolutely no exception. Engaging in P.O.C at 7-Eleven, engaging in P.O.C when I'm at Vaughn's, using their outward appearance as engaging in their job, their trade, like every other commercial commercial company like UPS, FedEx, USPS, engaging in the same exact group stalking conduct. There is no form. This is P.O.C. 7 Thomas Frank Bob 303. 4 Robert Mary Uncle 578. Okay, so I want to be clear while I'm reading all these license plates. This demon over here engaging in element number 1, stalking with light in relevant position while they're patrolling, keeping his headlights aimed on me, okay? That's the identical behavior pattern, using their headlights to focus on you, creating light activity, okay? But you also want to be clear on, this is the fake sun, all right? What time is it right now? It is 4:12 p.m. And this is, again, him coming back on around. He's made a U-turn at every street thus far. He's turning again. License plate 44555 Apple 2. And listen, this is a demon who knows what I'm speaking of as I'm speaking it. He's literally listening to himself being documented, engaging in more. Understand, these are headlights at the opposite end of the street. The same conduct that he was engaged in, they're targeting. So that's P.O.C. All right? Here it goes. I love it. This is P.O.C. I took a picture of him making another U-turn. Understand those headlights that are at the end of the street, they're there while he was over here at the dead end aiming his headlights. So they're targeting light on me while they're patrolling on Bonneview. So on State, they're aiming their lights, and on Bonneview, they're patrolling, crossing path. This is demonic activity, okay? He literally made another U-turn again. All right, 7 Young Barry Wendy 431, 6 Uncle Jack Charlie 572, and again that's 44555 Apple 2. That is a demon with no self-control right there. Those are the ones that give you a very clear glimpse of what is occurring while they're supposed to be engaging in a code of conduct that is highly passive-aggressive. 7, Robert Xavier Mary, 483. All right. I took a picture of the headlights that are aimed in this position. This is light activity. This is the same thing that 44555 Apple II was engaged in right here on the opposite side on State while I'm reading off the license plates of all of them engaging in what is group stalking. Understand that, okay? Barry Henry 36 Wendy 78 paper license plate, right? That's P.O.C. on a Ranger, Ford Ranger, 88652 Barry 3. Skidding their tires, that's audible activity, and crossing path, relevant positioning. All right, and light activity from the state's fake sun object that is aimed on me, and light activity from a group stalker down here. You've got more than one headlights. They're intentionally engaging in directing light. Any kind of light activity is P.O.C. As they're patrolling in traffic, they're crossing, passing, driving, patrolling with their headlights on, P.O.C. Stalking with light, 44555 Apple II, aiming his headlights on me on State, and behind me, aiming their headlights in this direction. That is monitoring. Understand, that is monitoring conduct, and it is demonic. That is demonic, what I just got through documenting, okay? And understand what the state is doing by plane is analogous to what the third-party group stalkers on foot and in vehicles are doing. 7 Xavier Nancy Paul 080. Okay, and that is the POC. It is currently 4:15 p.m. And I took a picture of the state's fake sun object because, again, this is already proven, but I just love to continue to make the point because I have already established 1576885, vehicle number 1015. That's Ontario Police, skidding off. Okay, skidding off. And they're acting with police. 8 Paul George Jack 068. Let me be clear on something. The moment I turn my back, Ontario Police coming out of nowhere. That's that stalker, right? That's that psychopath. The same thing with the planes. They come out of the blue. Come out of the blue, out of nowhere. That's exactly what he just did. And he engages, knows that I'm looking at him, accelerates even faster. That is Ontario Police. They are documented heavily. They're the most documented police department, but understand they're doing the same thing that every other police department is engaged in. Every county I've been in, Los Angeles County and Orange County and San Bernardino County. This is San Bernardino County. But there, you're talking about San Bernardino proper and the city, in Fontana, and Rancho Cucamonga. I've been all throughout, and Ontario has been the most documented. Honking their horn, 2B3. That's the same one that was skidding their tires. These are demons. These are how demons act out when you are documenting them, much like what you saw at Stater Brothers, what I posted on my Facebook. 7 George Victor Larry 387. All right. And 7 Paul Frank Paul 051. What prefaces everything I'm documenting? The ongoing long history of documentation, first of all, but also this fake sun object, which always seems to find itself beaming on me. Always. Plane coming out of the blue. There you go. Right over my head at the intersection of Bonneview and State. It migrates backwards. It was over Mercy House. Now it's over me again. Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines. That's what that is. We've got the sun beaming on me right here. That's POC. You got a group stalker. That's a group stalker. Understand? I love it. This is a sport to me. I have no allegiance to Satan. 6 Robert Uncle Apple 584. And let me be clear, the third-party group stalker on the street, the third-party group stalker in traffic, the exact same conduct, okay? The exact same conduct. What you hear audibly, him skidding his tires, I just took a picture of that. This is a demon. Aiming headlights on me and creating audible activity in relevant position. It's POC. All right. You think it's a coincidence that they're acting out like this, skidding their tires and driving all crazy, making all manner of U-turns in the street? No, it's not. 6 Thomas Benjamin Larry 803. And the one skidding their tires, 8 Jack David 623. This is what they do while I'm at the museum overnight, and so this is what I mean by the traffic cameras, which are documenting everything. The visible activity, what you're looking at, the documentation, what you are looking at is married to the audible activity. And so you are looking at cars, you're looking at motorcycles, you're looking at the police who are engaging in ongoing monitoring. And while you are looking at them, they are all listening to me. And like that third party did on on my podcast right now, and as I captured images of him, he makes that activity, then he stops, right, and then he proceeds on traffic. 9 Frank 99918. What they engage in doing? 6 Wendy Thomas Jack 160. What they engage in doing is using their vehicles, and the state amplifies that audible activity. They engage in blasting their acceleration, using exceptionally loud vehicles. 6 Robert Nancy Victor 636. 6 Benjamin Wendy King 069. 7 King Robert D as in dog 839. 27503 King 2. 6 Uncle Robert 6 Uncle Robert Barry 081. Couldn't really see that one. That is 7 Edward 63150. 7 Victor Uncle Young 298. I can do this all day. This is something that the targeted individual does not have to do. The state is already prosecuted. I'm dragging in as many third-party group stalkers as possible. That's what I'm doing. This is how you disincentivize and break up a system. And these are demons that will be exposed as such. 7 Thomas Xavier Paul 611. You do not get to engage in what they've been doing for years for targeted individuals who have no defense, who had no idea what was occurring to them. They're going to be prosecuted for that. 8 Samuel Benjamin Edward 923. 8 Paul Mary. 8 Paul David Mary 507. 3 Wendy Nancy 533. So my focus is on, again, the state migrating. Again, my focus. I am the focus, rather, is what I'm saying. I am the focus. The state's planes are flying over me as I migrate south on Bonneview, as I migrate north on Bonneview, okay? They're flying over my head. This is already established. It's just more proof of the same. All right, and those third parties supplying that to the state, they're going to be prosecuted just like every individual third party who I identify. All right, and in addition to that, there are ways in which the targeting entity and the people of the state of California are the targeting entity. Okay, that you prosecute the entirety of that entity upon prosecution. It is just that which has never been addressed by legislation. And upon revealing and speaking to the context, speaking to the ongoing criminality of stalkers like this is a psychopath. Understand that same demonic influence on them. This is why you have them abiding by an identical behavioral pattern, right? Sitting in the street, headlights on, just like 4455582, just like the car behind him on the opposite side of State Street. This is license plate 6 Wendy Thomas Jack 160, just sitting in the street with the headlights on. Okay. That is occurring everywhere that I go, especially as I walk anywhere, but also when you're driving in a vehicle. When I was subject to kidnapping in West Valley Jail, that's how the third parties, these group stalkers that I'm documenting right now, engage in the same group stalking while you're in any vehicle, creating light activity using their cars while they keep activity and light activity ongoing as you move, as you're in motion. That's how they monitor in motion. Okay, I am stationary right here. They are in motion. While you're in motion in any vehicle, they are keeping up activity, keeping up light activity as you move. And that's what group stalking is. They are present with the intent to monitor. And how do you monitor? With light activity and being in the path, relevant positioning, which is group stalking. This is a wonderful expose of group stalking. The state keeping its fake sun aimed on my face, and be clear, it's four right now, and that fake sun in my face. But also be clear, you refer to my documentation. I'm very thorough with everything that I post and everything that I am explaining, because the state has engaged in that same fake sun. Use 6 Thomas Uncle Mary 949 at every we could use the latest example inside of the depths of Stater Brothers. It's aiming in my face on Bonneview and State, but it's also supposed to be aiming inside of the entrance of Stater Brothers, okay? Into and on the faces of those at the register, right? Those are demons, by the way. Those are demons with that fake light all over their person while they're engaging in monitoring on their own facility cameras, okay? That's P.O.C. That's element 1, element 2, while they're monitoring. And that is the same conduct here. 7 Paul Barry Zebra 970. 5 Apple 41240. And this is the thing about it. Once you are exposing P.O.C., It is that which they continue to, because there's nothing else that they can do. Audible and visible activity 8625 to Robert 1, paper plate, construction paper with black ink on it. B Henry 39Y38 on a Nissan SUV. That's P.O.C. I just got a whole plethora of third-party group stalkers. 4 ARC 983, light activity, crossing path, audible activity, light activity. And again, they're not acting individually, they act as a group. They maintain activity. California 62978, license plate, not visible. That's not a coincidence. That is Gibbs Truck Center. License plate 01146 Apple II. But I got the California license number. This is license plate 6 Charlie Victor Larry 127. Light activity coming from the opposite end of the street. Alrighty. That is P.O.C. 8 Jack Xavier Nancy 747. 3 King Larry Barry 948. 7 Robert Mary Edward 852. 8 Robert Queen Young 099 61178 Thomas 2 Custom Roof Company, license number 859220, group stalking. This is 7 Uncle King Paul 748. 5 Young Paul Thomas 899. 7 Edward Paul Barry 162. Alrighty, when you have the understanding of the criminal elements, which are also demonic, of monitoring with communication devices, you have the ability to literally prosecute the state, the entity, and understand that every individual third-party group stalker, which is not acting individually, they act as a singular group, but every individual one engaging in any acts of criminal obstruction upon federal group stalking and monitoring can be and shall be prosecuted. Period. 7 George Queen Frank 267. 6 Sam 12346. Yeah, 6 Sam 12346. Marin's Auto Electric, they're monitoring while they're popping off fireworks. They're over here in relevant position and they're monitoring with everybody else that's patrolling. It's a group effort. They're using communication devices. I remain surrounded by a network. These third parties in traffic are merely the ones that are coming close by, crossing path. 8 King Open Young 500. 7981. The first car of that train is 7981 and it is going westbound on the train tracks. This is the same train that the state uses to stalk with activity at the museum, amplify the sound of that train. The train literally engages in honking its horn and sounding at the drop of a dime of my movement, the same demonic behavioral pattern used to monitor. Okay? I am walking at Main and Bonneview. Everything that the state does serves to prosecute every third party. Okay? Stalking with planes, stalking with light, that prosecutes everybody else. You use such quote-unquote universal means when you are monitoring as a system. The state is engaging in directing light activity onto this gate as the train is passing. They're monitoring. That's why I read license plate 8 King. 8 King 0Y as in young 500. So when you've got the combination of headlights that are aimed toward the train tracks and a train that's in motion, you've got audible activity, you have flashing light. Understand that. As the trains go past, you're creating light activity, you're monitoring. That's what this is. It is not a coincidence that the train is passing while I'm here. This is the alternative to the plane. Understand what this is. This is P.O.C. Xavier Paul 080. If I see that correct, let me read that again. That's a Honda. 7 Xavier Nancy Paul 080. And what I want to be clear on is that third party's headlights are not vibrant enough to shine on the gate like what was occurring as I was walking up the street. What you have is the state engages in. This is criminal facilitation by third-party group stalkers. They make the outward appearance of that which is supposed to be assumed is happening, and that's not what's happening. Their headlights were not shining against this gate as the train was passing. The state was shining light on the gate while the train is passing, and on the outside it looks as though it would be caused by his headlights. His headlights on that Honda were not bright enough to cause that light activity. That is POC. This is what third-party group stalkers do in concert with the state on the regular. That is POC. I read that license plate as the train passed. That was a Honda. 15492 Mary 2. Alrighty. 8 Larry Henry Frank 012. 25366 Barry 3. 6Y Tom Wendy 793. Tom 28RTES. 8 Apple Zebra Bob 574. 7 Charlie Thomas Wendy 638. 5 George Barry George 940. 8 Robert Thomas Zebra 720. 8 Thomas Robert Wendy 290. 7 King 34619. 8 Charlie Igloo Henry 354. 8 Frank Xavier Mary 317. 7 ESSIER. So Edward Sam Igloo Edward Robert. 7 Victor Igloo Frank 284. All of them engaging in the criminal elements of light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning. Okay, monitoring while the train was in motion. Okay, this is group conduct. All of them in relevant position while the train was going. 5 Zebra Igloo Sam 850. 82793 Sam 1. 8 Mary Young Larry 770. Her TDF HERTDF. Tom Dog Frank. Her Tom Dog Frank. Okay, so a couple of things. In the same way that the train is deliberately used to monitor me while I am staying at the museum, that is exactly what is occurring right now. The train being in motion as I start to walk in the opposite direction. Understand the train is audible activity in the same way that the planes are audible and our audible activity that is amplified while in relevant position that the state uses for third-party group stalkers who surround to monitor on a massive scale. That's why you use such universal, quote-unquote, universal means, such as a fake sun. A whole bunch of people can monitor you when you have light spanning over a large area, okay, and following that targeted individual. Where you are flying an airplane over and amplifying that sound, that covers a lot of ground for a whole lot of people to be able to monitor you with communication devices. When you are engaged in using a train and amplifying the sound of that already loud train, and even amplifying that loud sound, a whole lot of people who are all around are able to monitor you with communication devices. So here at 201 Bonneview, they're monitoring. License plate 8 Apple Victor Charlie 674. License plate 6 Thomas Paul Nancy 404. They are in relevant position. The state flying over me, the state using the train, the state directing light while they are in relevant position. 133 Bonneview. This is a private residence. They're all off of Bonneview in Emporia. This is POC. The third party at 125 Bonneview. He's actually home outside in relevant position. And this is POC. The criminal elements of monitoring are indiscriminate, and everyone is engaged in it together. It is a state system, and the initial intent is to silence me, and what I'm going to do is silence the state with a massive prosecution. 8 Larry Open Apple 875 and 7 Jack Charlie 837. All right, this is 125 Bonneview. All right, in relevant position, monitoring with everybody else that's patrolling. They're using communication devices, all right? So you're talking about while I'm over here walking back up to Holt and what is this? Bonneview, sorry. Dollar General. They're monitoring inside of Dollar General, okay? A store. They are monitoring. They're sitting in the trucks in the middle of this field, monitoring. They are in these businesses across the street, in the crossing traffic. They are monitoring. All right? They are aware of my movements as I am walking up the street, coming in and out of the store, in the parking lot. It's an ongoing operation. And that's P.O.C. It is 4:34 p.m. And I'm going to stop there. I'm going to make my way back toward the museum where the state is engaged in the same stalking conduct. Let me get this license. 6 Henry, Paul Berry, 955. Excuse me. And the state engaged in that same stalking, right? If you're not familiar with my documentation, the ongoing prevalence of sirens everywhere that I am at, that's called stalking. They're literally telling you that they're stalking you. And understand they are stalking because they are monitoring. That's the significance of using the sirens. And the sirens are interchangeable with any other kind of audible activity that the state is also amplifying, i.e. the planes, i.e. the trains, i.e. third-party group stalker vehicles. All right, this is a ongoing POC by USPS, Omnitrans, the 61 going eastbound, just like every other group stalker. 8 Nancy King Xavier 086. Everything that you can hear serves monitoring. Everything that you can see, especially with the light, using their turn signals. 8 Nancy King Xavier 086, sitting at the corner, using their turn signal, monitoring. Okay? All right, I want to get this vehicle over here. Understand this is what they're doing at the museum all night long, using their loud vehicles as they're listening to me. You're looking at them on the traffic cameras, they're listening to me. They're monitoring. This is license plate 88047SAM1. 88047SAM1. That is what you are not able to hear on the traffic cameras while they are monitoring, while sirens are interchanging with that third-party group stalking conduct with the state amplifies. All right, while directing light onto the museum surfaces. That's POC. It is 4:36 p.m. And that was a lengthy episode of POC. You see, POC does not stop. I'm just engaging in providing example after example as I document the state, which is a psychopath stalker. Okay, a hovering, paranoid, obsessive stalker, engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring with communication devices, and it is entirely demonic. And that demonic aspect, that demonic influence is an invisible influence over every single person. Every single last one. 3368 for Mary 2. All right? These are cowards hiding behind accelerating engines. And let me get that again. 3368 for Mary 2. That's POC. And that demonic influence, again, like I was saying, is absolutely is absolutely invisible. You cannot see it with the human eye, but I am letting you know how you can identify it. This entire system is of a satanic origin. Every element of criminal monitoring is demonic, okay? I don't know if you're familiar with my documentation, everything I continue to post. I have shown the stalking with a fake sun object that is not the sun, that is hovering at low elevation, that remains over my head in any direction that I travel. Right? That is not natural light activity. That is bending and moving and appearing in all manner of directions in an unnatural manner. It is not natural light activity. It's impossible light activity for shadows to appear on the ceiling. I've documented this. To have multiple shadows on the ground. I documented this as late as December 9th, I believe, at the TAD, Transitional Assistance Department at 1647. Hope Boulevard, where they're monitoring, just like every other place where I'm subject to monitoring. And they were monitoring the state's fake sun on the, the east side of Holt, causing a shadow, but then you have a shadow on the opposite side as well. This is not only absolutely impossible, hence my term, impossible light activity, that is demonic. Okay? It is absolutely demonic. You need to understand that. This is the same with every other criminal element of monitoring, with activity and with the group conduct. Demons act in a pack. They act as groups. That is demonic in and of itself. All right, they don't act individually, they act in groups, and this is how they engage in that group stalking conduct. This is POC. It is 4:38 p.m. and I am traveling back toward the Ontario Museum where ongoing stalking by what are a group of psychopaths. And that is indiscriminate. And that is actually based on documentation, that is based on understanding the context of the system and where it's rooted in. It's rooted in Satanism, and that they are engaging in not only criminal conduct, but they are engaging in that which is revealing them as the psychopaths that they are. There is no difference in the fact that it is a government system. That only speaks to the high level of criminality. That only speaks to the unprecedented level of obsessive criminal conduct. That speaks to a level of a threat that has yet ever been identified, that has ever yet been prosecuted or addressed by federal legislation. But I'm going to be clear, will not mince words. It is not different. You do not treat the government different under the law or under any other sort of estimation which you would apply to any other person that was engaged in the same identical conduct. Psychopaths. Engaging in identical behavioral patterns, okay, that are rooted in Satanism, all right, that are highly criminal, acting with a government, acting as the government, all right. That is P.O.C. It's 4:40 p.m. It's December 12th, 2020. I took ample pictures to go with for your viewing pleasure. This podcast, another episode of the pattern of conduct by the state of California that is engaged in a ceaseless criminal operation of federal group stalking and monitoring with communication devices. Where there are three elements engaged in that they engage in, and all elements remain present at all times. That is light, that is activity, and activity is audible, visible, and or sensational, and the third element being relevant positioning. In other words, the state is stalking with light, the state is stalking with activity, and the state is stalking by entity, meaning stalking by a group presence. That's what that is. That's POC. What I want to get right now is the third-party group stalkers that are lining my path. This is what I continue to write down. I just want to, since I have my podcast going, let me get this. License plate 7 Edward Charlie Apple 968, blinking her headlights at the time that I begin mentioning her. Turns her headlights on and off. POC. This arrival of this third-party group stalker right now in front of me, not a coincidence. Understand, this is POC. 8 Mary Igloo Sam 971. This one was already sitting here in relevant position. They sit in their cars. This is primarily the means because I am walking, right? I'm on foot. So they sit in their cars, or as you see, well, you can't see, or they line themselves on the sidewalk, pedestrians. They're just keeping themselves in the path, making sure that I remain surrounded at all times. These are demons that are acting to monitor and are listening to every word that I say and outwardly conducting themselves as though they're concerned with something else. This is license plate, unless I've read it already, let me read it again, 5 Jack Nancy David 699. And they are doing what third parties do the entire route everywhere that I travel. The arrival of 8 Mary Igloo Sam 971 is also, let me give you an example. Hold on. I give you an example of what is light activity, how they use their vehicles to surround with light. As she's actually listening to me document, she arrives. As she listens to me document again, she uses her reverse lights. And also, let's be clear, all she did was back up and go forward. She's patrolling. That is the demonic system. That's the demonic relevant positioning, pacing back and forth. She's doing it in a car, okay? That's the same thing you do on foot, the same thing that the state does in a helicopter, same thing that the state does via plane, and it's demonic relevant positioning. That lining my path, sitting in their cars as I cross path, that's crossing paths in reverse. So they sit and they wait for me to cross path, and then they either remain in the cars or they drive off. But also, as I engage in any documentation of that conduct, you have what that third party engaged in that drove up. They arrive, creating more activity as I document. All right, that's called stalking with activity, meaning as I engage in any activity, they engage in creating activity that follows it. And it is clearly the act of a psychopath. It literally is. Literally the act of a psychopath. You're talking about engaging in this conduct while I'm in jail. Well, I clearly don't have a phone, okay? Where am I going to get a phone from? They are psychopaths. It is a hovering, obsessive, paranoid a hovering, obsessive, paranoid, psychopath behavioral pattern, where it's not even a secret anymore. I'm openly discussing it, publishing it all over the place on the internet, on the World Wide Web, and you have this concentrated effort to continue to engage in that which they are in no way precluding the inevitable, which is the prosecution. The prosecution is the last thought. Understand it. The state is already prosecuted. The exposure of that Satanism, the exposure of the criminal enterprise, that is what the state really did not want. Okay, and that boat is sailed, like I said earlier. That's already done. Understanding what demonic activity looks like on an everyday basis, it is literally what you're looking at in traffic. They're monitoring and they're literally just patrolling all around you in traffic, and the state is engaged in solely focused on me. All they are doing is monitoring. That is all they are doing. Everything that they are doing is to that end. I am literally the focus. Literally. That's why you have the planes flying over my head as I walk north and south on Bonneview, as I walk up and down east and west on Holt, as I remain at the museum, as I remain at Ontario Town Square, as I remain at Ontario Library, as I walk up and down Euclid Avenue, as I'm on any means of transportation, Omnitrans and or Metrolink, okay? As I travel to any city in any county. This is what I have already established in my documentation. It is irreducible. It is insurmountable. All right, it is inevitable. It's already done. What I am at now is you need to be clear that a psychopath is a psychopath, whether it is a public entity that's engaged in it as a group. Okay, so I mean every single police officer, and every single police officer is exactly what I mean. Every single place where I go, monitoring is occurring, and they are engaging in the exact same elements, the exact same ones. It is every single police officer. It is every single entity, every single third party engaging in what is a state system. How does this happen? Don't ask me. Don't ask me. I'm only reporting the facts. I am reporting the facts and the context, whether you want to accept that or not. But it is absolutely abnormal to have shadows on the ceilings, to have multiple shadows. Engaging in conduct like that is, you need to understand, that is rooted in Satanism. That is absolutely demonic. You need to understand that, period. You need to understand the fact that they're engaging in stalking as a group, as a public, as an entity, as one. That is demonic. You need to understand that. You need to understand that, period. You really do. So anyway, I'm really going to stop there. I have gone on enough, and this is another excellent episode, another excellent demonstration, another excellent example of the targeted individual's experience. Well, ordinarily the target individual either has no idea or is documenting or trying to understand what is occurring and, is not equipped to do so. I am at the point of showing how you can clearly prosecute a public entity, and not only that, not only are they deserving of federal prison, they need to be put in straitjackets because they are psychopaths. And they are the worst kind. They are the kind that engage in overtly criminal conduct behind a malicious disguise. And what I am stripping down is that disguise. It is no disguise. It is public corruption that is hiding in plain sight. You need to open your eyes and understand what you are looking at, because it is in your face. It is literally in your face. All right, it's 4:47 p.m. and that is the P.O.C. Okay, I'm at Holt and Sultana. You got a helicopter flying. 6 Zebra Robert Edward 171, 8 Robert Igloo Larry 599, 8 Henry Xavier Robert 456, 29979. I can't see the rest of it. 1545686. That's Omnitrans number 2355. This is 8 Nancy Uncle King 893. These are third parties who are monitoring with the state. The state just flew over my head, standing at the corner of Sultana and Holt Boulevard. This is Los Amigos Mexican restaurant at the corner. So as I'm crossing the street, walking west on Holt, the state flies over the same corner over me while they are aiming their headlights onto me. And while the Stereo City, they're flickering lights. That's demonic. They're creating light activity. They're monitoring while the helicopter is also flying parallel to me over parallel to Holt Boulevard. So basically, essentially to my right as I'm walking west on Holt Boulevard, okay? So helicopter to my right, plane over my head as I'm crossing the street, third-party group stalkers aiming their headlights on me, third-party facilitating venue, Stereo City flickering the building lights outside. This is P.O.C. while they're also intentionally blasting their music. This is ongoing group stalking and monitoring, okay? They love to be documented, and I love to document them. 6 Sam 93064 at Sultana and Holt Boulevard, okay? So I'm gonna get a little bit more. 7 Paul David Henry 336. 8 Paul Xavier Sam 025. 3X Victor Larry 624. All right, when I say they're all monitoring, that's exactly what I mean. That's why the planes are flying over my head everywhere I go, okay? This is group stalking, and it is highly demonic. And unfortunately, demons don't know to do anything else but what they've been doing, and that is what got them in that massive prosecution that is coming. And I'm identifying as many individuals as possible. 40533 Wendy 1, 6 David Edward Jack 661, 5 Mary Victor Jack 382, 7 Young King 171, 7 Henry, what is that? Uncle David 080. Let me be clear about something else. Stereo City is at the corner of Holt and Sultana. This is Ontario Police, and it's not a coincidence that's the same one. This is a white male that is driving this vehicle. Understand, sitting at the stoplight is form for loitering in relevant position. This is P.O.C. He is group stalking. He was group stalking on, what was that, Bonneview? And he's group stalking right now. And let me get a picture of this is P.O.C. and let me get a screenshot of that. When they engage in creating the recording failed because they're tinkering with my phone, that's also proof of what this Ontario Police group stalker is doing. This is a white male driving this vehicle. He is sitting at the traffic light, license plate 1576885, like I already documented. This is the same stalking conduct, right? That is the exact same stalking conduct. And the proof, this is exactly what they engaged in on September 25th when Ontario Police engaged in kidnapping. There is nothing wrong with my phone, okay? I have ample videos, all right? That is the state in close presence monitoring. That is the proof of what that stalker is doing. We have that license plate already, and I also captured a picture of it, but I also captured a screenshot of them tampering with my phone. When they try to stop my ability to take a picture, that is added evidence of what they're doing. That's monitoring, by the way, okay? There is no getting out of the POC. They are literally trapped. King David Victor 655, and that is an out-of-state license plate. Let me be clear, like I already stated, sitting at the traffic light is the same thing as stalking sitting in your car. They are engaging in the exact same conduct. They are sitting in their car in relevant position, monitoring. Because you are doing it at a traffic light is no different. They do the same thing sitting in their cars on the side of the street, in the middle of the street, in dark parking lots. They're monitoring. And again, the fact that I documented that same license plate, that's why they use the same one. They don't want me to get a different one. It is the same entity. He is doing what all police officers are doing. They are so pathetic. You are talking about a bunch of inferior demons who are in no way prepared for what has already been established. 7 Jack Billy Larry 739. All right. And again, Ontario Police not acting by themselves. They're group stalking by all of these patrolling. This is why the plane and the helicopter is flying around while they surround in traffic. This is monitoring that's going on. 8 Nancy Xavier Mary 680. All right. And what is clear? 220719. That's USPS. Turning onto Holt Boulevard from Sultana while the state is amplifying the sound of that train. All right, that's POC. All right, I love it. I got the same Ontario Police license plate. And can I tell you something else? That is literally stalking. He is literally stalking. If you recall my documentation, Ontario Police following me from one place to another. I have posted that before. I mean, the exact same officer following me from one place to another. It is not a coincidence when you are also documenting monitoring conduct that I am once again documenting the same Ontario police officer engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring while I am also having planes flying over my head and a helicopter that is arriving everywhere I'm at, flying essentially beside me, and he is arriving directly next to me at the traffic light. Let me be clear also, legally, when you are speaking to a state that's engaging in criminal monitoring, you are speaking to what I am describing as all manner of threats. All right? You're talking about an entity, they're going to prison. They're going to prison and they're not going to get out. This is an unprecedented level of criminal activity. While you are engaging, that's criminal obstruction. Not only are they monitoring, it's criminal obstruction. That is literally being surrounded by the state. Not only vicariously by those third parties, but by the state in a helicopter to my right, by the state in an airplane over my head, and by Ontario police right in front of me at the traffic light. And that's POC. I got the license plate. I got a picture of him. That's the same white male that was speeding up as I was reading his license plate on Bondview. Okay, where all the same criminal elements were present there as well. That is POC, and this is why they are worthy of federal prison. And not only prison, but that is literally a psychopath driving that Ontario police vehicle, doing the exact same thing that every other police officer that is engaging in that same system. What I'm telling you is everywhere that I go, police, irrespective of any department they are with, engage in that same stalking conduct, that same monitoring conduct in the same way that third parties are. Okay, and that's what they're doing right now while I'm at Shiro's Liquor. They are patrolling around, creating light activity, acting in concert with patrolling traffic. All right, that's POC. And this is what I mean. This is why you document, because you go from place to place and you see the exact same conduct. The planes remaining over my head as I move in any direction. Okay? Has nothing to do with an airport. It's 5:06 p.m. I'm at Shiro's Liquor, third-party facilitating venue. Heavily documented, even surveillance cameras here at B&G Plaza, all of it relevant for documenting third-party group stalking and the state stalking directly, hovering over this plaza, aiming its fake sun right here over this plaza as the fake sun moves with me as I go from any place to this place. This is a history of documentation. That's where I'm at right now. And it's 5:07 p.m. That is the POC. I want to get these third parties. That's POC. She was waiting. She comes out at the same time. I want to get these third-party license plates. 6 Windy, Igloo Zebra, 813. Light activity, crosses path at the same time that I move. That's on his cameras at the Shiro's Liquor Store. They're loitering in relevant position. These are demons listening to every word that I'm saying. It's POC, because they create light activity in relevant position. Third-party group stalker, they're all creating light in the parking lot. This is what the venue surveillance cameras, this is called patrolling. All right? These are demons. Understand that. These are demons. This is what you're looking at. These are demons. And you hear that growling? That's a demon that knows what I was saying. 5 Henry George Windy 854. He calls himself mocking what I'm talking about. That's why he did that. And understand, I'm not speaking at his windows are up. What I'm telling you, when I say they know what I'm saying, that's exactly what I mean. 41969 Paul 2. Those are demons. Okay? Did you hear that in the background? Rawr! He calls himself mocking what I'm speaking of, what I'm documenting. Right? Okay, his windows are up. I'm not yelling. I'm speaking into my phone. When I say that they can hear everything, when I am saying that they are engaged in ongoing psychopathic conduct, engaging in the POC while somebody is literally documenting their criminal conduct, which is very creepy and weird. If I was engaged in some weird stuff and somebody knew it, I would have some level of shame and embarrassment, right? And I probably would not keep doing it. And then engaging in open cooperation with other people who know you're doing it. This is a level of sickness. In no way removing criminal responsibility, but these are psychopaths. Understand that, okay? There's a level of sickness there. It is 5:09 p.m. I'm at Shiro's Liquor. POC continues. All right, it's 5:15 p.m. So again, POC is continuous. So let me explain what happens right now. As I approach Holt and Plum, I am expected to cross the street where you have a third-party group stalker that sits at the light, headlights on, so you are engaging in crossing a path as they sit at the light, just like Ontario police were doing, loitering in light and relevant position. They're doing the same thing. Third-party group stalker across the street, sitting in the car, headlights on, aiming toward me. This is both of them aiming light in my direction, okay? The fact that it is occurring at a traffic light is no difference, understand. And how do you also know this? Let me get this license plate. 6 Thomas Henry Thomas 606. How do you also know this? Because I captured an image of the helicopter that's flying directly in front of me, okay? It is POC. This is how group stalkers act together to keep me surrounded as I move, all right? As I am in motion. Let me get another picture of this helicopter. I am looking at Hope Boulevard and it's flying directly in front, all right? That's POC. And that is while they are engaging in group stalking at the traffic lights. Okay, there is no stop. Understand, they're in Andy's Burgers drive-thru. Behind me, they're in relevant position. They're monitoring at the traffic lights. They're sitting at the traffic lights. They are monitoring. The same elements are present. This is demonic activity. Understand what it looks like on the exterior. It is that which is occurring on a ceaseless basis. And let's be clear, taking it outside of that that's relevant context, but even taking it out of that context and just assessing it as the criminal activity that it is that which is public corruption. And public corruption is in plain sight. USPS number 4316169. Okay? Aiming their headlights on me. Let me get a picture of this. This is the exact same conduct. This is P.O.C. All right? Understand that they are no different from the police officer. They're no different from the group stalkers that are aiming their headlights in opposite directions. As I am expected to cross the street, as I stay at the corner and do not cross the street, immediately the helicopter sounds. Okay, let's be clear. The helicopter and the planes are always present. They engage in creating audible activity for the purpose of monitoring. The license plate of that third-party group stalker who was aiming headlights, just like I showed you, license plate AA555 Apple II was engaged in, and on the opposite side of the street, the headlights on. They are aiming light in my direction in both directions. This is the same conduct as I travel from place to place. Understand this. This is license plate 8 Larry Victor Henry 206. Okay, sitting in his car. As I take a picture of the helicopter, he exits his car. Light activity is created the entire time, and he is in relevant position. That's P.O.C. It is currently 5:18 p.m. And that's just another example of what I continue to document as I'm in motion. The state is literally stalking by plane and helicopter as I travel down the street and remaining in stalking presence, remaining present. Omnitrans 1545837, number 2360. And remaining over at the museum, stalking with sirens. The state literally, just like the state stalks and remains parked in the sky above me, and then engages in sounding itself, okay, which is merely just letting you know that they remain there, but I already know that they're there. They're stalking, right? They engage in creating activity for monitoring. The state does the same thing in police, fire, and ambulance. They are literally stalking, just sitting around, listening, watching obsessively, like psychopaths, and then sounding their sirens. Because they're monitoring, listening to everything that I am doing, listening to every moment, listening and watching. Okay, this is how the state surrounds, and ongoing third-party group stalking presence is constant. Okay, what the traffic cameras show is ongoing monitoring conduct by third parties who surround. I want to get a picture of Omnitrans because you need to understand how they are monitoring, and it is part of what they are doing. This is what they do. They provide transit services, and monitoring is inherent to what they're doing. So they are in relevant position, creating light activity, using the bus as a means of audible activity. They literally engage in the same stalking conduct through the bus, using the exhaust, using the speaker, and they engage in stalking activity with that same demonic feature. They use the bus to do that, okay? Anything that they can use to create audible activity at the same time that I engage in any movement, it's the same features. Understand that. That's what I'm saying. When you understand the overall picture, then you can use that template and see how they are doing it through any and everything, because that's basically what it is. That was number 2360. That was Omnitrans Group Stalker. Also engaged in kidnapping, monitoring me while I was subject to kidnapping on October 14th, en route to Rancho Cucamonga Courthouse, monitoring with the state flying over by helicopters, stalking by Rancho Cucamonga police, stalking with light and possible light activity, and the state stalking that is ongoing while I'm subject to kidnapping by the deputies and the inmates and medical workers alike. It's 5:21 p.m. and that's P.O.C. All right, 5:24 p.m. Here's another example of federal group stalking and monitoring conduct. This is FedEx. This is license plate 14891 King 1 in the middle of the street using their hazards. Understand, wrapping your mind around the concept of what they are doing with light and what they are doing with their position as with respect to the target individual and being in their path. The beeping, listen. The beeping and the blinking light. You have the third party that got off of Omnitrans sitting at the corner in position on a bike. I got an image of him. He is up here now. But what he was doing was loitering at the corner, waiting for me to cross path. And as I cross path, let me get this license. This is 7 Sam Mary George 902. And as I cross path, then he engages in riding his bike. This is crossing path that he is engaging in. Again, this is only my immediate surroundings. They are all monitoring with communication devices as one group. FedEx is doing the exact same thing that Omnitrans is doing. Light activity, audible activity, okay? They're in relevant position. The helicopter I literally just captured seconds ago, flying over at the same time that they are engaging in directing light. This is P.O.C, okay? And these are the third-party group stalkers. 7 Sam Mary George 902, I think that's the same license plate. We've got another one. Do we have anybody else? Understand, while they are parking, let me get a picture of that. This is light activity. This is how they engage in P.O.C, all right? Outwardly looking like they're just navigating through traffic, this is monitoring conduct, understand that. And this is all intentional. This is how the state monitors you. The state cannot monitor you without their engaging and being present, without their engaging and providing activity whereby monitoring can proceed. That is FedEx, the same ones providing instrumentalities of airplanes while the state is engaging in stalking me with them, monitoring me with them. They're going to be prosecuted for that. Okay, the FedEx is engaged in an ongoing pattern, a documented pattern of stalking, making sure that they maintain presence in my path everywhere that I go, and in doing it in this form. That form being the same that Omnitrans uses and every other commercial company engages in, doing what is their job, right? While they are engaging, the same with U.S.P.S. also. Okay, they'll hop out of their car in a second and outwardly appear as though they are delivering mail when they're monitoring. Okay, and that is all that they are doing. They are monitoring. While they're monitoring, they are delivering mail. Okay, the state cannot monitor you. A public entity cannot engage in it without that presence, without that ongoing activity provided by third parties. All right, this is a group stalker that sounds her alarm. All right, all of it creates audible and visible activity while FedEx is loitering. This is again license plate 1489 1 King 1. This is P.O.C. And this is an example of what they all do. Omnitrans is just like USPS. It's just like UPS. It's just like Amazon Prime. They're doing the same thing. They engage in what is form. Federal group stalking and monitoring is a system that is woefully built on a false premise that they can appear outwardly as they are doing one thing, and that monitoring, there is no way that you could ever assume or think that they are engaging in any criminal activity. This was assumed to be the perfect criminal system by a state, by a public entity, and it is not. It is not. All elements are present. FedEx engaging in monitoring, criminal facilitation of monitoring, and that's P.O.C. It is 5:27 p.m. That is another excellent example of P.O.C. Okay, what's called stalking with activity? What I want to show you, let me take a picture of this because this is called stalking with activity. They are sitting in their car, in that truck. FedEx was loitering right here at this apartment complex across from me after they left this immediate vicinity in front of Metro 102. I took a picture of them. They drive forward past the stop sign and they stop next to these apartments. While they're stopped, I am engaging in completing my podcast episode that the little snippet that I just finished. At the same time that I engage in finishing typing up and literally close the screen, then FedEx drives off, okay? They're listening and paying attention to what I am doing. That is the identical behavioral pattern. They are entirely focused on what I am doing. Let me get a picture of them because at the same time they just engage in movement. At the same time I change activity, right? This is P.O.C. Oh wait, hold on. That's FedEx. That's P.O.C. The same behavioral pattern, okay? Understand, those are demons. Okay, but you're talking about the government. Yes, the government has technology, the ability to engage in listening to you, watching you with cameras or whatnot. I am talking about that which is demonic because it is also occurring when I am, I mean, not to say that they couldn't have a camera in a shower space or in the jail cell where I'm at, but when I am under a blanket, for example, in a jail cell, under the blanket where you're not looking, there's not a camera there. I know that much. And if I engage in any subtle movement, that stalking with activity is what occurs. Okay, that is that which you cannot see it. That is that which is inaudible to the human ear, and that is that which is always punctuated with activity. Monitoring, the most subtle gesture, the most minor, most minute, imperceivable movement or change in any activity. Okay, so it is not the fact that I'm saying it's the fact that I'm outside. I understand that the government has the ability to use those technological means in order to engage in what shouldn't be used against an American citizen. These are supposed to be used against foreign threats. I mean, that's a whole other. I'm just gonna leave that there. So anyway, what you have is them engaging in that same behavioral pattern. So what I am speaking to is not only criminal monitoring. That's how you monitor. At the same time, I engage in finishing typing up my documentation, naming my little mini episode that I just created about FedEx engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, like every other third-party group stalker. For example, 6 Jack Robert Zebra 232, sitting with their headlights on, in relevant position. This is called lining the path. This is occurring everywhere that I go. They make sure that I am surrounded with activity, with their presence, with some manner of audible and or visible activity. That's P.O.C. Understand this is stalking, right? They are stalking, maintaining presence on behalf of the government that is operating federal monitoring system. That's called group stalking. They're stalking as a group, all right? That is P.O.C. by that third party. So FedEx drives off at the same time that I close that screen. That is not a coincidence. That is what I continue to identify. And that is what I am letting you know is also demonic. Okay? Yes, it is monitoring. That's monitoring conduct, punctuating your movement, the target individual, surrounding them with activity. As they accelerate, they're creating audible activity in relevant position. The lights on the vehicle, they're blinking. Okay? Their brake lights, all that they're creating. They're engaging in all 3 elements. Understand it is also demonic. That's with simultaneity to my closing that screen. They drive off. This is not a coincidence. This is the ongoing pattern with any method of activity and with any actor that I happen to be documenting. Okay, so it is irrespective of who it is. That's the pattern that exists, in FedEx acting in conformity to that pattern. I'm letting you know, not only is that the criminal monitoring, that is demonic. All right, so demonic activity is ubiquitous. It is ubiquitous. It is in your face, and it is not impervious to being prosecuted. It's called public corruption because these demons are engaged in high crime. This is highly criminal. This which has never been prosecuted, not a coincidence, because it's the government. Right? This is fully intended to be kept a secret and maintained as a secret. And this is why I'm telling you, they're not doing anything but monitoring. I am the priority. I represent an incredible threat right now because of the fact of my awareness and because of the fact that I am documenting it. And this is never part of the plan. You were supposed to be dismissed from society, placed into a mental ward, and labeled as crazy. Period. Okay? It is 5:34 p.m. What you're listening to in the background is the sound of the amplified train. And at the corner, you have a third-party group stalker with their headlights on. I'm still going to take a picture of them because what you have is a demon that is aware of the fact that I'm documenting. And at the same time that I look over there, they turn off their headlights, which they had on as I was walking to this seat. I'm sitting down at the Ontario Town Square right now. That is the same stalking conduct and using their lights. What I have never... in my research, when I started my petition with the San Bernardino County Superior Court for relief from the Government Code Section 945.6, which requires that you engage in a claim presentation against the state, meaning you have to present it to the state, whatever your claim is against the public entity, before you're able to assert any civil lawsuit against them. And it is absolutely constitutionally absurd to engage in that when a public entity is engaged in criminal stalking. And that is not a past harm, it's an ongoing harm. It is continuous and ceaseless. It is totally irrelevant to Government Code 945.6. But while I was engaging in creating that petition, I have a matter I want to document that is in the background. If you hear the amplified train, what I have directly above are the planes. That is a helicopter. All right, that's amplified helicopter. And if you'll note, I'll go ahead and take an image of that. You hear the audio, and it's flying directly over my head. Okay, that is P.O.C. It's 5:36 p.m. I'm at the Ontario Town Square. This is monitoring headquarters because I am here. Group stalkers surround in relevant position in traffic in the nearby buildings and at Ontario Town Square. And again, appearing as they are doing whatever it is they are outwardly doing. All they are doing is monitoring while they're driving, monitoring while they're with infant kids, babies, strollers, walking their dog, whatever it looks like. Outwardly, they're monitoring. Okay, that's why you got helicopters flying over my head. That's why you have planes following me. That's why you have the state engaging in all matter of impossible light activity. Okay, and so let me be clear. I'm sitting on the bench that is facing Euclid. The vehicles that are driving north and south on Euclid Avenue, none of them facing this bench, okay? They are driving parallel to my position. There is no light that is aiming in this direction onto the bench. But while I sit here, this is called the impossible light activity. This is element number 1. This is demonic. This is called stalking with light. What you have is light moving, which would be, if I speak in terms of north-south, light moving south across the top of this bench. I have documented this before. This is literally happening seconds after the helicopter just flew over my head and while I am maneuvering on my phone. That's called impossible light activity, okay? This is monitoring. This is all of these aspects of what is occurring. This is what prefaces what these demons around that act as though they are focused on something else. This is how you know what they're doing, okay? All right, a demon doesn't have to look at you. Demon doesn't have to talk to you. You look at the demonic surroundings, and this is exactly how you know what is occurring. Okay, public corruption is hiding in plain sight. Alrighty, so it's 5:38 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and cut that short there. My focus was on what FedEx did, which is that same behavioral pattern, engaging in moving from that immediate location where I captured them and then just going a few feet ahead, remaining there while they're listening to me use my phone. And at the same time, I closed that application down. They are just sitting in the street. They're not doing anything. At the same time, they begin creating activity. That means accelerating, creating audible activity, remaining in relevant position as they drive forward, creating light activity. That's P.O.C. And the simultaneity with which they engage in that is the pattern. All right? That's 5:38 p.m. and that is the P.O.C. I'll stop there. All right, 5:49 p.m. So that is 2 images that I just captured. 5:45 p.m. plane flying over me while I'm sitting on the bench facing Euclid. And 5:49, that is the second plane flying over while I am in the same position at the Ontario Town Square. And like I was stating, the ongoing stalking conduct by the state is blatant. Just today, listening to my podcast and the images showing the state is engaged in ongoing stalking conduct with light. That's element number 1. Ongoing stalking conduct by entity, that is third parties and the state directly, by police and by fire ambulance and by aircraft, both helicopter and airplanes documented, literally following me as I am in motion on foot. Flying over my head as I move in both directions, north and south. So as I migrate south on Bonneview from Holt, they are flying over my head, migrating with me. In order to be flying over my head, you have to be in movement. This is the same principle that applies with the fake sun. It is at low elevation. It remains directly above me, regardless of what direction I move in. You have to maintain motion, especially when you are in distinctly different locations where it is mutually exclusive. It cannot coexist. In addition to the ordinary scientific fact of where the sun is actually located and the fact that it is in constant motion around the earth, and so that is just today. Today is December 12th, 2020, and that is P.O.C. And what I wanted to focus on again is this is federal group stalking. My point that I am making is that it is federal group stalking, number 1, because the state is in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 42A. They are using all means of interstate commerce. They're using the internet. They're using communication devices. They are using airplanes and helicopters and trains. They're using all manners of cars and trucks, the roadways. They're using the freeways. They're using everything with regard to engaging in a ceaseless system of criminal monitoring at every place and at all times. And this is also a federal matter based on the public entity that is engaged in group stalking, has every intention to violate your First Amendment rights to prosecute that public entity as an American citizen, as an individual being targeted by a government. And that is called criminal abridgment of your fundamental rights to prosecute that public entity. This is what the state, I've already documented, the state has engaged in. At the San Bernardino Superior Court. That's the civil courts engage in criminal activity, criminal abuse of the legal process, okay? Seeking to conceal, it's criminal obstruction, seeking to conceal the existence of federal group stalking and monitoring, and they do so by ensuring that your basic fundamental rights of access to the courts, violation of your First Amendment rights, in order to stop you from being able to prosecute that public entity. This is that which I've also addressed. Not only is it in violation of current federal legislation, I have continuously advocated I.I.S. legislation, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, that which I advocate for additional federal legislation, which is designed and specifically tailored to address every criminal, and again, in parentheses, because it is demonic, understanding that demonic intent and the ongoing criminal conduct of a public entity that is engaged in monitoring you, and not only monitoring you, seeking to silence you upon your becoming aware of that, which is occurring for years. All right, there's a point where you are not aware of it, and the point where you become aware of it, that's where you become the threat. This is where the state is engaging in all manner of what I am documenting, and it is designed to silence you and ultimately put that targeted individual in a mental ward. All right, this is what Lisa Rogan engaged in. I've already documented. This is what the state, I have literally documented every aspect of the pattern of conduct. And SIIS legislation, federal law, is to be that which is used to prosecute a public entity, a massive prosecution designed to address that which is not addressed in any manner, in any adequate manner at all, by federal legislation, and because it is in many ways a new concept. And I put new in quotations because I do not think that it is a coincidence, because it is the government that is engaged in this criminal activity, and it is intentionally designed to be maintained as a fallacy, singularly contended by one who is presumed to be suffering from some mental illness when they are claiming that the government is targeting them. But this is the beauty of documentation, like I've already stated, and what I've already established. And so SIIS legislation is that which I also wrote at length while subject to being kidnapped inside of West Valley Jail. And it is that which I am, as I am documenting, I am showing how they are engaging in those violations. And you are able to literally prosecute for every single act that the public entity is engaged in. And third party individually acting, they are the entity. They are vicariously acting as the entity. It is a state system. It is a group monitoring system, and every single person is vicariously present on behalf of it's literally the state that is in front of you stalking you. And you're talking about being surrounded by the state, okay? Directly and vicariously. You are surrounded at all times. That is the utmost extreme level of stalking conduct by a group of psychopaths who are engaged in what is satanic targeting conduct, okay? SIIS legislation pierces through every criminal, demonic tactic of a public entity designed to prosecute that public entity. And every criminal method employed by that public entity. All right, and to the extent to which justice requires it. And I can speak personally because I am that targeted individual subject to it while documenting and prosecuting it at the same time. Okay, it is 5:55 p.m. I am at Ontario Town Square, where the state is flying over my head in airplanes and helicopter. And while the state engages in ongoing stalking, let me be clear: the police right now are sitting around in relevant positions, listening to every word, just literally sitting around like the stalkers that they are. Okay, listening and acting and monitoring through every third-party group stalker that is engaging in patrolling. This is how that system works. It doesn't stop. And this is how the government relies on their presence in order to monitor. All right? They can't do it inconspicuously without them. All right? And they are present right now, just being the psychopaths that they are, just stalking. If you can wrap your mind around that, this is why the term psychopath is so apt. It is so precise. It is so accurate. It is so deserving of that sort of conduct. Okay, a psychopathic stalker that is literally sitting around focused on an individual, on an American citizen. You would think that I am some foreign enemy. In a way, I am foreign because I do not in any way give allegiance to Satanism whatsoever. So in that way, I'm foreign. But you would assume, based on the amount of energy and resources that they expend on altogether, in order to engage in this criminal system, in order to try to keep it concealed, in order to try to maintain it, you would think that I'm some super threatening foreign entity that is waging a level of threat that requires aircrafts and airplanes and helicopters. I mean, it is the most psychotic conduct that a public entity can be engaged in, and it needs to be exposed. And that's the purpose of I.I.S legislation, not only to prosecute it, but to expose it, to disincentivize it, to dismantle it. Okay? And in many ways that has already been done. Speaking the truth, exposing it is most of the purpose of it, okay? Because it is in no way desired that it be exposed. And that boat, like I said, that boat is already sailed. It's already done. And that was what the state ultimately did not want. But that is one of the main goals, not only to expose it, but also to prosecute in the forum of a federal court. And this is the inevitable result. That's the afterthought. The state has already prosecuted. It is already done. It is already done. I am literally showing you how in every single scenario, group stalking and monitoring is underway. In every single scenario. I am showing you, revealing to you how they are engaged in group conduct, which is demonic, and how they are psychopaths. That's what I'm showing you. And how that is literally the accurate and exclusive label for a group. Okay? I can't speak about Nevada. I can't speak about Arizona. I'm not there. I'm in California, though. And every place where I go, criminal monitoring is underway. The same criminal elements remain present. The identical behavioral patterns are practiced. And this is why I am able to, based on objective facts, based on long-term documentation, make those statements. Okay? So it is 5:58 p.m. P.O.C. continues. Ongoing stalking, ongoing psychopathic, hovering, paranoid, obsessive stalking conduct continues by a single group. It is 5:59 p.m. and that is the P.O.C. (8:50 p.m. September 12, 2020. Helicopter patrolling above, shining headlights on me. One of the things that you need to deduce from let me just point out some things. This large group of police, this group presence, understand that's demonic. This use of light, this abundance of light activity that they're creating, appearing as the Ontario Police Department, understand that use of light activity for monitoring is demonic. The helicopter's use of that light while he or she is literally pacing around in circles above me, that is demonic. Okay? I'm just pointing out that which I continue to connect the dots for those who are genuinely ignorant, not only about monitoring with communication devices, but about demonic activity. Okay, it manifests itself in ways which you have been conditioned to accept as normal. Okay, and demonic activity is not going to appear as what you see on television in Hocus Pocus with them on broomsticks and a red character with a long tail and horns. That is intentionally the picture in your mind. I am letting you know what demonic activity looks like. You're looking at the conduct combined with the features. You're paying attention really to detail and the conduct with which that they are. The conduct that they are engaged in, and the ways in which that same exact conduct appears in a different way. Okay, you're talking about light activity. This is a demonic feature. Their use of light. It's demonic how they use that light. Okay, this creation of blinking, flashing light for purposes of monitoring with communication device. This is absolutely derived from demonic practices. Okay, shadows on the ceiling, multiple shadows on the ground. This is derived from demonic practices. These are tactics that the government is engaged in for monitoring. Okay, I have documented this in Los Angeles at Stater Brothers grocery store at 1647 Holt Boulevard, the TAD office. Multiple shadows on the ground. I just got that the other day. Okay, this is common practice, and this is demonic. Okay, this group presence by Ontario Police, while they are monitoring me and also communicating that which was reasonably construed as a direct threat while you're monitoring, they're going to prison for all of this. Okay, understand that group presence, that's demonic. Demons act in packs. That's demonic. That's element number 3 as well. Relevant positioning. Right? And this is what they are doing perpetually. All of the whole system of group stalking is premised on group presence. It is entirely demonic. Okay, it is premised on the use of light. It is entirely demonic. Light is central. All kinds of light. Light everywhere you go. Any kind of light that they can get to manifest. All right. And a lot of times it is a very creepy use of light. You ever seen anything like the Twilight Zone? Now I'm being jest when I am referencing that because you see it's entertainment. But if you pay attention, those little hints that they have, the weird conduct with inanimate objects, and with the light activity, blinking lights, flashing lights, that is satanic. Okay? You need to understand that. All right? I can't stress it enough. This is an entirely demonic demonstration that Ontario Police just engaged in. And with regard to what they are engaged in, it is entirely threatening for the public entity directly acting while they are monitoring. That's what they just did. And that is what federal prosecution will be addressing. When I say asinine, when I say idiotic, when I say woefully unprepared, okay, that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. You are looking at a bunch of inferior and defeated criminals. All right? They're criminals and they are servants of Satan. And I'm not going to mince my words with that. Okay, you're looking at the same conduct in different ways. The blinking lights you see on the police vehicles, it's the same thing you'll see in a tow truck. It's the same thing you'll see when they use their hazard lights. It's the same thing when you see on construction trucks. It's the same thing you see on the helicopters that are blinking, the planes that are blinking. You pay attention to those details. You're looking at it, and it is that demonic feature appearing in different ways, but it's the same thing, and it serves that same criminal purpose, and it is of that same demonic nature, and it is appearing in ways in which we have been conditioned to accept as absolutely normal. It's just a tow truck. I mean, they're creating light in order to show people to be cautious because they are present, right? We've got a whole rationale for it, but you need to understand it is entirely demonic. Okay, it is P.O.C. And these are the exact same methods that the state engages in for monitoring, right? Because it serves those purposes, right? It is 9:15 p.m. If you listen in the background, the state is still patrolling around me, okay? Because I am the focus. I am the focus. This is supposed to be a threat. This is nothing but documentation. It's going against the state of California. Ontario Police has been the most documented police department, engaging in a whole litany of unprecedented levels of criminal activity while they're monitoring, okay? They're going to federal prison and they're not getting out. They're not. They're going in straitjackets. They're literal psychopaths. So it is 9:15 p.m. The helicopter is still circling. I just wanted to go over that point with regard to just understanding and recognizing how these demonic themes appear in everyday life. Okay. So with regard to the use of spotlight, that is a sexual molestation of the target individual's person. It is a violent sexual assault. You're talking about a stalker that is incredibly threatening, literally creating an emergency to your ongoing existence, your physical safety, your overall well-being. You're talking about a government that is stalking you, and then on top of that, molesting, touching your person. All right, this is analogous to any other stalker who you would never want touching you. It is not different because they are engaging in monitoring with communication devices. All right, and that needs to be appreciated. The targeted individual's rights being violated in every manner that it is occurring is subject to prosecution. So molestation of my person by this the state that is circling above me in helicopter, while Ontario police are literally in a large gang in the center of the intersection at Euclid and Holt. Not only is this communication of a threat, this is sexual violence. Understand that. Understand that. And they are all touching you together. They are all monitoring together. Understand that. That's sexual violence. Understand that, okay? In addition to that, this is a criminal threat, an unprecedented, highly lethal criminal threat, just like on Los Angeles Police Department engaged in that same documented conduct. Multiple helicopters acting like some terrorist is set free in Los Angeles, and they're monitoring an American citizen, and they're hostile to that documentation. That's what that whole show, though, that whole exposition that LAPD put on. And they're going to regret that, okay? And this is the same thing that these idiots in these police uniforms just did, okay? And let me be clear, like I said before, this is no different than what they do every single night. They literally sit around in their police cars, in their fire trucks, wherever they sit, whatever they're doing, and they have their lights on, and they are literally with their finger on the little siren button. Whatever they press the sound, they sound it at the drop of a dime with simultaneity to my every minor movement. Literally stalking. Guess what? Somebody decided we're going to do it out in the open. That's all they did. They're doing the same thing that they do in secret. But it's not in secret because you can hear them and you know that they're close by. You know that it's the state because they're amplifying it. The sound is targeted to where I'm located. They literally sat around and decided we're going to do it openly on camera because that's going to make it look legitimate, because that's going to look like we're not monitoring. Okay, so anyway, it is 9:18 p.m. and that is just assessing all that the state is engaged in on top of ongoing group stalking and monitoring. Helicopters still patrolling, by the way. It's 9:18 p.m. And that is the P.O.C.